Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Solio Analytics podcast. This is the three of us back again for the second episode for the season. We've learned so much since we podded last week that we'll be now doing a deep dive on the teams and giving you guys a first preview of our drafts. You might have seen them on other channels, obviously. Jonny hasn't even shared his draft with us, so we're in for a surprise. But before we do all of that, this time I'll come to Luke first. Luke, welcome to your second appearance. How does it feel to be back at Solio?
Yeah, it's great to be back, and I've been busy in the days off, mostly just going through the cycle of creating a draft. I do this a lot. I don't know about you guys, but make a draft, kind of think, yeah, do you know what? I'm finally happy with that. Go to bed, wake up in the morning, look at it, and think, what the hell was I thinking? Like some sort of, like I've had some sort of drinking session and a hangover, and I'm like, let me just change it entirely, and just repeat the process over and over. So probably not the optimal use of my time, but I'll still continue to do it because it's an old habit, I guess.
It's the hobby we like, and with me, it's like one piece of news, like I'll read some random, it doesn't even have to be a credible source. Oh, India is not leaving, and I'm like, oh, okay, then how does this change everything? And, it's the fun of it, I guess. Do you do a lot of tinkering, Jonny?
I was going to say, I definitely look at drafts, but I feel this concept of the draft that I'm on, or I'm on this one, and then something happens, and then I move to the next one. Or, I don't really store all these screenshots. I don't really feel like I'm actually making a draft as if I'm trying to play it until the last week, which I think does help in terms of not feeling. People have this approach of that guy was in my draft until the last minute. Well, actually, I just think no one's in my draft until the last minute. Or I try and play it that way, but I don't know if that is just the way that my brain wants to do it, or if that's the way that I've decided is better. But yeah, I'm definitely looking around. I'm sort of seeing how the pieces fit together. But I feel like being happy with a draft now is I've made a picture out of half the jigsaw pieces. I'm like, well, we're going to get the other half by the time the game week starts.
I just imagine Russell Crowe, Beautiful Mind. That's what's going on there with JC.
I've no idea what's going on. It's empty. And then I've only got a limited amount. So one day, final day, off we go. Figure it out. We'll see. I do have a draft for later, but that's for another reason. I'll explain.
Excellent. All right. Well, before we start this episode, and I did tease it out in terms of team strengths, and we'll discuss each of the teams, I wanted to actually highlight the fact that since the last podcast, we've done 8 short videos. Jonny, do you want to give a quick preview of what we've done? They're small 1-minute videos on tutorials, right? So, but a little bit more on what is now on the website.
By a preview, do you want me to read the script out again? Is that what well, yes, I got some compliments on my voiceovers. So I was very happy with that. I was imposter syndrome. Feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, we've made some tutorials. So there's 8, maybe 2-3 minute videos explaining different sections of the tool and how to use those. So real they're useful for intermediate users, but they're kind of aimed at beginner users. So if you're a beginner, completely new, you want to figure stuff out, it's aimed at you. But if you've used the tool before, it's still useful. There's still bits that we find that we think people know how to use it, and then actually you ask them, oh, have you tried this? And they I didn't know I could do that. So hopefully it'll guide people to kind of just feel a bit more comfortable, a bit more familiar. We're aware it's slightly overwhelming at times, so we're still working on it. We're trying to improve the user interface and iterating and designing, and hard to do that and release new features at the same time. But hopefully, should be useful for just a broad overview of what you can do and where to go for all of that. So hopefully that'll answer some questions. So it's on this YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, or because if you're not on YouTube, it's also on the YouTube channel. But we've linked them in our Discord server as well, and we're hoping to add them either into the tool or part of the tour. But yes, they've gone down quite well so far. So some more advanced ones coming in the non-specific future soon at some point. We've got some plans for more advanced tutorials.
But I would say people should generally check it out. They're literally 2 minutes or under 2 minutes. It will help you no end in terms of you using the site. And if you're anybody who spends even 20 minutes a day on this stuff, right, then spending another 10 minutes just going through these videos, honestly, I would highly recommend it. Just do it and it'll help your experience. So no more on that. But yes, you can check it out on the Solio Analytics YouTube channel. Is it on our Twitter account as well? It's on X too, right?
Yeah, we posted the playlist link. I'll put the playlist link in the description for this podcast as well. It's easy to find, but signposting it. It's over there. It's over here.
You will find your way. Okay.
I'm sure you'll find
So
it.
let's get to the meat of the show. So the idea of the show is we have done last week a little bit of the lay of the land, what we think of the chips, what we think of the players, but it was new, right? We were all 5 days into the season and just figuring stuff out. Now we've had a few preseason friendlies. We've had a little bit more better understanding of managers, a few new signings. So what actually Luke thought, and which was a terrific idea, is let's go through each of the teams, each of the most relevant teams. There's about 10 or 11 that we'll talk about. We look at what their predicted lineups could be, what could we see as opportunities in terms of expected minutes, and that will just flow into everything in terms of drafting, but also how you use the tool, right? Because ultimately you can have a player which has the highest expected points at 90 minutes, but they only play 20. So it doesn't really help you. So I think an X minutes conversation on this podcast will help. And the team strength. So we can maybe start with that on the tool itself, Jonny. So in the projections tab, you can go to teams and you see this very lovely table, which is quite simply a better attack on the y-axis and better defense on the x-axis. So the further to the top right that you are, the better team you are. So in essence, you're saying Man City is the best attack in the league. Second is Liverpool, Arsenal. Before people jump on this is what Solio is about. If you disagree with any of this, if you think Man United attack is the best in the league, no, don't you go down.
Oh, the wrong way.
Going up. We're going, of course. If you think Man United attack is the best in the league and also the best defense in the league, you go all the way to the right and you change, and magically all the projections will change. Suddenly you press optimize and you'll see Mbumo in your solve, you'll see Cunha in your solves. We're not going to do the solve in front of you, but this is what happens. Obviously we're exaggerating. It's not like that. But the idea here is to challenge what Solio has provided and see, are there areas where we can make changes? So that's a good starting point. Do you guys edit much in terms of team strengths, Luke?
I think you have to be quite cautious, don't you? Because again, you have to have very good reason and to be this early and be this confident. I mean, this game teaches you over many years not to be so confident because so much can surprise you.
Always backfires.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think you have to have, some particularly strong reasons to do so. But it doesn't harm to mess with it a little bit, which is what I've done. So for me, I feel, for some reason, I feel like Leeds are going to be better than even the markets do. So I have bumped them ever so slightly, more towards defence than attack. But I think attack as well with Wilson, the Stack hopefully fitter for most of the season. Again, I'm hoping on some of these things, right? Stack a second season. I just think they might be better. Calvert-Lewin proved his fitness last year. But, there are a couple of injuries like any team away from probably being in problems. Liverpool, I moved the defence down slightly. I was talking to Pras just before. I'm not so confident around them, just the state of their squad at the moment. Frimpong got injured again. Gomez got injured. They haven't bought anyone. I'm sure Liverpool fans are hoping that's going to change and then they might readjust it again. But I think that's about all. I did joke about yanking Hull even further off the graph, but it was near impossible, how low they are.
Bad.
Yeah. So apart from that, no, I haven't really changed anyone else. I think, obviously this will adjust through the season, right? And it adjusts slowly in small increments. But if you feel like, I think some people think they can get a read after a few games, and there might be some people who make that read correctly. You could probably just accelerate that process a little bit. So maybe I'll do that with a few teams if I get the vibe after 2 games. Chelsea is just not working with Alonso and they haven't worked it out yet. I might start pulling them further down, for example.
So here's how I tend to use this, and I find it, it's fun, and that's why we tinker, but I use it on a relative basis. So as you said, the way I would think about it, I have no clue if Leeds are going to be better, but how much better, I don't know. So I tend to think of it can Leeds be as good as Brighton, for example? So we push them basically close to Brighton and then I do a solve. And then I see, does that change anything in terms of what I'm seeing? Because I was seeing Calvert-Lewin earlier anyway. Do some Leeds defenders pop up? If it's a better attack, does a second attacker pop up? And then I quickly reset it. Because I like you, I'm quite paranoid on changing stuff without actually understanding the implications. So I try to play it this way, where I just change stuff for teams. This is how stuff works. If you bring Liverpool down and you still see Van Dijk in your drafts, then you need to question, are you just being stubborn about Van Dijk, or are your beliefs not really inputting your team? So I mean, something for people to play around with. But Jonny, I'm sure you don't change much because you have sort of helped create
these kind of are my changes. Yeah, mostly.
Exactly.
I do give little nudges here and there, and I think more what I do is I'll kind of use the same process that you're thinking through, but more of a what if. So maybe I have some question marks over Liverpool's defense, but I do think like they're kind of roughly accurately modeled, but almost like, what if I'm wrong? What if they are worse than I think they are? So if I drag Liverpool's defense down, and it doesn't really change too much, then what that tells me is that I don't need to spend my energy working out how good Liverpool defense is, because the pessimistic view is that they're still good enough to buy Van Dijk, or the optimistic view is that I still don't buy him anyway. So sometimes I'll test kind of like what's the threshold at which this player comes in, or these types of players come in. And if I find that the threshold's like further away than where I'm thinking the team might be, then I know that that's not where to spend my energy on working out, or digging deeper. So sometimes it's good to play around to find where does it matter? Where do the changes happen? Like, if I think Man City's attack's worse, then how much worse do they have to be before Haaland is not a captaincy option versus Bruno in most weeks, or that kind of thing? And if it's actually quite far down, then I go, well, Haaland's good. Usually, I think what you can also do as well, we've also got if you don't have your own reasons to change it, what you can do as well is we have like a little import. Oh, it's not showing quite so well. Let me show the full screen. We have a little import function. So if you have your own team strengths, or if you have someone else's opinions that you trust. So we have 11FI, we have Simon, they produce their own team strength models. There are other people who do their own. You might do your own. You can also import those into the tool to kind of show and be like, okay, like what happens if I believe someone else rather than, I don't believe Solio, but I want to use the model to test things out. And then if I take those opinions, they don't always have to be your own opinions. If you don't back yourself, you can use someone else's. Just to play around, yeah. But equally, I think hopefully we have tested these. They are pretty good team strengths. So we like to be, we don't like to say these are rubbish, you should change them. We like to give you a good baseline to start with, hopefully.
Yeah, but, and two questions there. First, these are fixture irrelevant, right? So if Man United play Man City or play Hull, this is what we think Man United's team strength is, and it's all relative because Hull have their own team strength. Can you just confirm that?
Yeah, so it's right? These numbers here. So if I click on Man City, it's 1.99 goals per game. That's versus the average opponent. So that's kind of over the course of the season. So actually, we see these season-long projections. In the fixtures tab is where you'll see like the specific ones. So if I change these, then those should change as well. So let's say we've got Arsenal projecting, what's this, over 9.4 over the next 5 game weeks. If I make their attack a lot worse, then they're only going to project 8.3. So this is where we add in the context layer of, are they at home, are they away, who are they playing, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is like fixture agnostic, just how good is the team. And then you add the layers back in later, and the layers come back in obviously in the projection model for the players, with opponent minutes, everything else.
We'll talk about each team now. I mean, not each, but the most relevant teams. But the thing that jumps out to me here first is the Man United defense. Like, I just don't trust. This says the Man United defense. So fixture agnostic. So this is why I asked the question. Fixture agnostic. It's as good as it's the third best defense in the league.
Better than Chelsea.
Better
than the mid-table teams.
Beware of fans for sure. I'm a fan, and I'm pessimistic generally in life. So beware of fans for sure. But I would personally, and this has just given me an idea, I'm definitely going to do this tonight. I'm going to move Man United slightly to the left and then see if the double, Lamans and Shaw or Maguire still show up in my draft. But that's for later.
Because, the first two, they're playing Ipswich and Hull down here. So maybe they don't have to be that good. And you think, all comes in. But yes, should we start with?
Any other comments here before we go to Arsenal?
No, I just think it's really cool, and I'm really impressed how you
overrated.
Managed to do it. Yeah, and Man United are overrated, obviously.
I think we preface every pre-season with that one. But yes, so we'll start with, so we've basically, the teams that we've gone through, so we'll go through the lineups. We've also got some charts from Rob. that he's posted on social media, but these are sort of team specific. Because obviously, if Arsenal are good for clean sheets, then where are they better for them? And actually, is there a place I can go against them or a place that I need them? But the teams we've picked we've added Arsenal because we think they're really relevant, and Man United too. But basically, it's the non-promoted teams who have a new manager this season. So that's like Bournemouth, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, all of those teams. We did skip Newcastle partly to make it 10 because I think it's going to go on too long. But also, they don't
have a team.
They don't really have a team. They don't really have a manager.
There's not 11 players to put on the pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at who we can play at right back currently, and the only fit senior player is Jacob Murphy, who's not a right back. But Livramento and Miley are both out. So yes, we'll come back to Newcastle hopefully once they've figured out what they're doing. But yeah, so we'll go through. So we'll start with Arsenal. So what I've got on the screen here is essentially the kind of squad depth chart. So these numbers are essentially what we're modeling in the tool as the kind of baseline. So we add in more things on top of it. So for game week 1, we know that Saliba's probably not going to play. He's out for a few weeks. So Mosquera will be probably the likely starter because we've got him as the backup to Saliba. We've seen that generally when Saliba's out, he's wanted to play a right-footed centre-back. So Mosquera comes in rather than playing Gabriel and Nkapie. Then if Gabriel's out, Nkapie is tended to. So we do have some sidedness here. And obviously we've now got to add probably Bruno Guimaraes into this mix. So this
hurts when you say that.
This will all be updating. Well, yeah, maybe. We're not talking about Newcastle.
For those that don't know, Johnny's a Newcastle fan. Sorry, no more Newcastle jibes.
Fine. It's all good. Yeah. You're making Man United jibes, and
that's a personal. Yeah, I'm self-inflicting that.
So yes, but yeah, is there anything here that sticks out to you guys? Obviously, we've got a few players returning from World Cup. That's some of the things people are looking at for game week 1. We might not see Saka start immediately or Rice or all those kind of things, but might mean that Calafiori definitely does start game week 1 if he's not been at the World Cup and Nkapie has, that kind of thing. But it's a strong team.
These are definitely useful for, say, long-term vision, and certainly when planning your team to begin with around the robustness and how early you might be forced into using free transfers. But you said these aren't game week 1 teams, so I know you did say that, but it's just to bear that in mind. I think the most interesting thing is obviously where Bruno Guimaraes fits in here. That's the most important thing, alongside probably FPL relevant for the start. Certainly Calafiori, Mosquera, as we've touched on. The Greek winger Sozalis. I don't know how you say that.
Solis, I think.
Solis. The Bond movie, Quantum of Solace. Just remember this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We need that the video where they all pronounce their own names for an hour and a half.
Absolutely.
That's great. I wait for it every year. It's my favourite.
Yeah, I think that's obviously quite important, but I mean, it could become that he's just a very good pick for Arsenal, but at the same time, with the amount of options there, that would scare me, and also brand new to the league. So, I think there's probably people out there where he starts the Community Shield. There's a good chance of that. Plays well, maybe takes some set pieces, and suddenly becomes very, very popular. But I don't know about you two guys. That wouldn't be enough for me to bring him into my team. He could conceivably start very well, and if you're on an early wildcard strategy, obviously they start home to Coventry. Could be a masterstroke, but to me, that's almost nailing your master making a free transfer at some point without further info. But each their own, I guess. And then the other thing that just stands out for me, I suppose, is Gyökeres and Havertz. I know that people anticipate they'll split, and it shows that on Solio, but I personally would have that the other way around. I think Havertz would be ahead, but is that based on markets, JC? Is that just because Gyökeres is expected to have more goals?
Havertz has got some minutes further back. You can see him as the backup to Rice. He does sometimes play a bit further back, so it's partly a hedge against Gyökeres is the most likely striker, but Havertz is more likely to play than Gyökeres, if that makes sense. The squad depth stuff gets a bit funny. I'm sure at one point last season we had Szoboszlai as not likely to play any given position, but definitely likely to play one of them. So yeah, but also I think it's a kind of a case of we don't know. They're pretty similar. So I think that's one of the things I look at if I'm trying to make sure that one of my picks is one that's not going to be a transfer down the line or less likely to, is sure, I might be quite confident that Solis is the best left winger and he plays the that's backed up when he starts the Community Shield and plays really well and takes some corners. But I have to be very confident because there exist several backups that might come in. So even if I'm right, the fact that things can change quite a lot. So it only takes one of Eze or Martinelli or Madueke or even, someone else to start playing well off the bench and take that position. So actually, he might be the likeliest starter, but it's a fragile line because it's very likely to change. Whereas something like Mosquera being probably the backup to Saliba here, there's not really that many players that he's played at right centre-back before, and maybe White would be potentially one of them, but he might be needed at right-back because Timber's maybe out. So
yeah, Timber would probably be even ahead, wouldn't he? But
he can't or Timber right centre-back or whatever. So something like that. I mean, there'll be other options later on, but somewhere where actually I'm confident and there aren't really that many alternatives are where I find I can take more of a backing my own conviction. Whereas backing my own conviction with Solace is you might be right, but you can become wrong very quickly, if that makes any sense. Rather than, you might be wrong straight off the bat, but actually he plays game week 1 and 2. That doesn't mean he's going to play 3, 4, 5, 6.
Where do you guys think that Bruno's going to fit in there? Whose minutes do you think he's going to impact? Like, I'm quite interested in that. Do people think that he's just going to go to the left centre mid and Rice will drop into the Zubimendi, or do they think that it's going to be maybe just terrible with Rice, Bruno, and Zubimendi, and Odegaard just gets kicked out because he's had problems?
No, I think the latter,
well.
the former, I suppose. I think it's two things, right? First, Zubimendi at the back end of last season anyway lost his place to Lewis Kelly, right? I mean, lost his place is maybe not the right word, but not trusted. And so maybe the plan is that in those games where you need that trust, then Rice plays that DM role and then Bruno plays. And then they can also interchange because both can play both roles. And in some games, literally Rice could get a breather because the guy looked knackered at the end of the season and then including the World Cup. Literally against Argentina, I genuinely think Rice going off cost England a final spot. I mean, he was just so knackered, he had to be taken off. So I think it's also a little bit of managing Rice's minutes so Bruno can do both things. It just means that Rice won't play maybe 90 times 38 or 36 even. So I think he just becomes slightly worse as an option. Nobody's going there anyway at the beginning of the season. I also don't think Bruno is a great pick. Similar story to Solis, right? You just don't know how they fit in, how long they're in the team. I'm quite sure Bruno starts a lot of games, but we just don't know his role. We don't know his set pieces. We don't know his penalty situation. Likely not to be on penalties. He's just not the same player for 7 million. So Arsenal are a weird one where there's literally no player in attack where you can say, okay, I can go for this guy and that's safe. Like even Rice is not safe because of his tiredness from the World Cup.
At least not off the bat, yeah. I think what you sometimes see is like, we like to paint the picture of like, okay, this is the strongest 11 and they're always aiming for that. And every time they make a change, it's like, oh, they change away from the strongest 11 and okay, this guy needs a rest now and he comes in. But actually you can have 4 strong midfielders into 3 spots and they play about 3/4 of the time for all of them. And maybe one of them plays a bit nearer 50% and one of them plays a bit nearer 100, but you move them around. So actually, it might be that actually Bruno just comes in and plays most of the minutes, but then Odegaard still plays most of the minutes and Rice plays most of the minutes rather than all the minutes. And actually, suddenly you have fitted another midfielder in without dropping anyone. You've just taken some of their minutes share. So I wonder if it's a bit more like that. But
there's a lot of good players to keep happy there. That's all.
That's very true.
But there's probably a lot of games, as we discussed.
Yeah, if they go deep in both cups and the Champions League, that's what they did last time, and lots of games. So we'll see. And obviously you get spells of one of the players will play 5 in a row and they look great, but yeah, we'll see. Or you get an injury, but then you have only got 3 players to fill 3 spots and so on. But yeah, off the bat, I don't think Arteta knows which ones he'll play. So if you think then fair enough, maybe you're right. But it's not like you're trying to read Arteta and read him correctly. I think Arteta will be adapting as he goes as well, depending on
exactly
how each game happens and how the opposition looks and what he thinks he needs. So yeah,
question on attack before we come to defense. If Saka plays 60 minutes against City, What minutes would you put him on game week 1? 60 as well? Or do you think that's like the beginning of him getting more?
I think he, like, if he plays 60 in the Community Shield, he can very easily play 30 in game week 1 and then get back to 60. Like, he can just come off the bench. You know, they're playing Coventry. They don't need to.
Yeah.
Don't really need it. They've got Madwick and whoever. So I don't think there's any minutes in game week in the Community Shields that would make me think, yes, Saka's definitely starting game week 1, unless Arteta specifically subbed him on and said, I want him fresh for the first game of the season or something. Even then, do you trust Arteta to say that?
Saka. Well, even Saka claimed he was fit in the England game, didn't he? I think with Saka, because Madueke is probably his main competition, and he is also in a similar situation to Saka, well, almost identical situation to Saka, that you are definitely going to see split minutes to begin with.
Yeah.
From there, then whatever. At the moment, they're just not an option, unfortunately. I don't think.
Sadly, it's a tempting price.
How old's Max Dowman now? Is he ready to be?
I think he's like 18, 19.
Nah, he's still 16.
He's still a child.
But, oh my God.
Yeah. He just did his GCSEs.
Oh, he did.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, he could easily get.
He's a great player, but
maybe
Gyökeres versus his old club as well. Do people go for that narrative? Yeah.
Well, I don't. What, do you want to look at Arsenal's?
He'll be hungrier, but I have a.
Oh, sorry. Should I go back?
No. I was going to say this chart. I should just explain it as well. This is fantastic. I love this by Rob T. So this is basically showing the first 19 game weeks for Arsenal, and showing the best windows. So the best 5-week window where they have the best clean sheet odds, or they have the best attacking data, versus also the lowest. The red one is obviously the lowest. So red makes sense. The same weeks where they have the worst attack is also the lowest for their clean sheet odds. However, this point is the most interesting point. In that period where they have the 5 worst fixtures for clean sheet odds, that's better than anyone else's best 5 for clean sheet odds. Can you believe this?
It's mad, isn't it? I can only imagine that gets stronger if Bruno Gomes comes in as well, because he's just such a good midfielder. If that puts Rice at 6 ahead of Zubimendi, I can only think that slightly improves as well.
I mean, obviously, it's hard to say, like, obviously these are games that are going to be in, like, what's that, like November, so we are projecting quite far away, so they might get there and have some injuries and stuff. But yeah, I think also it's part of the reason it specifically is better than even Man City's best run, or whoever you think the second best defense is the way that the fixtures are ordered. So I think City play like Man United away in the middle of their very best clean sheet run. So their run of 5,
details,
you can put free hits and stuff. So I just caveat it. I like the statistic. I want to run with it. But
exactly.
There's also, but I mean, the fact that there's that fixture quirk is still relevant, because it means that, like, take the free hit out, then Man City don't have a run of 5 where you're like, these are amazing, because their best run has like a bad fixture in the middle of it, which I think we'll get to later. It might actually not be their best run, but they have a good run with a bad fixture. So maybe that's a chance for a free hit, or maybe that's a reason why Arsenal just even, they don't have lots of hard attacks to play against back to back. It's partly why not only is their defense so good, but they don't have this run of like super hard games in a row. So maybe that makes it harder to hop on and hop off them, but also that makes it an opportunity to jump on and go, okay, well, people are going to be not looking at them because they don't have a super juicy run or a super horrible run.
It's almost exactly like last season. We seem to do this a lot. It's been a number of years now, maybe 3 seasons in a row, possibly even more, where somehow we seem to create ourselves a narrative that we're not going to end up with like double or triple Arsenal defence.
The best defence ever, yeah.
Yeah, and then by like game week 4 or 5, we're like, what the hell have we done? Like, what are we doing here? And then we just all end up...
42% average clean sheet odds for the whole first half of the season.
I mean, it totally makes sense to me why. I mean, because you might look at it individually and go, Saliba, I know he's not fit, but Saliba at 6 million might not be value because it's all relative. Gabriel at 8, maybe that's too much. But because the numbers are just so good and it's that security, I think that's what the model likes. And it's the same, it's almost like Bruno and Haaland, right? Probably individually, they're probably not actually worth that amount of money, but the security coupled with that armband, and then obviously having the cheap and value picks to go alongside it. You need that guy who hammers the price, hammers the points, and obviously you can put the armband and it becomes value as a result. And it's almost the same argument, I think, in my head. That's the way I look at it. It's like individually, like I struggle with maybe 8 million for Gabriel, 6 for Raya, 6 for Saliba, but just getting those 3 guys, you're just, almost guaranteed, aren't you? As close as you can get to just a secure amount of clean sheets, which, the other teams, there's a lot of variance, I think, in their numbers. Like, you can't be sure of anything. And it's not like we can just say that, like, randomly. This has been a number of seasons now under the same manager and the same setup. So I think you can be fairly confident in them outside of, like, a complete wildcard season.
It plays into a lot of what, the chip stuff that we are talking about. Like, game week 6 is when their fixtures, the Leeds at home, is when it really picks up. Now, you can get Arsenal defence at any point. But even more so, if you wanted to double up, triple up, then game week 6 is the right point, because that's just at the beginning of their good run. So, I think on Arsenal, pretty much where we are is Mosquera looks good. Calafiori, anybody, even if he starts, Hincapié is right there, right? So if you go back, Jonny, if you can, on the 11, like I've seen a lot of people with Calafiori in their drafts, but like I get the appeal for Coventry, but beyond that, how sure are you that he's starting every game?
Yeah, it feels like kind of the same as... Well, I guess Mosquera is different because you know that Saliba will be back and taking the spot eventually, but you know specifically he won't be starting any for, a string of games. Whereas Hincapié presumably plays some of the games, but it's less predictable when they are. So I feel like, sure, the attacking threat's there, but he's an extra half on Mosquera. I guess he's a good option in that, like, if you're not picking... If you've already got Mosquera and you want another one, and you don't want Raya, then he's 2 million less than Gabriel.
But you agree that Mosquera's safer. I get that Calafiori has that upside. He can score. He can get that attacking return. But Mosquera's just safer for minutes, isn't he?
I think so. At least for the first
feels sick.
4 or 5, yeah.
Until they sign Konza, anyway.
Well, yeah, and there's obviously a world where Calafiori just is first choice and he manages to stay fit and he is just a great pick and continues. That's what some people might be banking on as well. But yeah, there are other picks, aren't there? The numbers just tempt you into it so much, and I'm certainly considering having him. But maybe it's one of those ones where you look at the rest of your team and you think if everyone else just appears to be so solid, you can allow yourself one puntish somewhere, and that's like maybe one of the ones that you go for around the minutes. But it's still a dangerous game to play, isn't it? Because every time we pick a team thinking our guys are going to play, and we've been there so many times that 1 or 2 of them we find out don't for whatever reason. So. Yeah, still definitely tempting on him though, just because of the sheer defensive numbers for sure, and obviously his attacking threat in a home game to start Coventry. It does tempt.
He's got the odd early sub in him as well, which sometimes is good because you come off in the 17th minute, then they concede, and you had the clean sheet. But occasionally it is before 60. So I think if you pick him, then be ready for not expecting that. But if you get subbed off in the 55th minute, I don't think you go, well, why has he done that? He does it sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll just add on Ben White. So if Timber has some kind of a setback or whatever, then I think then he goes to the top of the list for me. Like, he's got that attacking threat. There's literally no other player that can play right back if Timber has some kind of a setback. So I think those are the 3 in my reckoning.
Played right back for a half or 1 point.
Yeah, but you know
what I
mean. Like, White's fine.
He was
White's fine.
White
especially with no midweek games, right? White is okay.
Yeah.
But Raya, anyone starting with Raya? If you're on the Haaland-Bruno setup, of course, if without Haaland, you can go for Bruno. Without Haaland, you can go for Raya. But anyone tempted regardless?
You know my opinions on Raya, so I'll pass over to Luke. Is he
I'm definitely tempted, but because of the bench boost, I just struggle to spend... because I plan to use the bench boost in game week 1 or 2, I struggle to spend that amount of money on 2 keepers because I'll obviously have to have at least a 4.5 to guarantee that. So... yeah, it's still possible. I think there are some solves that I ran that had the likes of Raya and Kinksky and even Lemons and Raya, because there are quite a lot of value picks elsewhere, and it doesn't really matter, does it? And again, it's something like instinctively you think it's wrong, but when you look at all that matters, if the numbers work and the maths work and it makes sense to have them, then yeah, but it's maybe just getting over that hurdle.
If you're pretty set on an early wild card, then I think Raya plus a 4.5 or plus 5 is fine. But yeah, you are going to at some point want to take some of that value out. You don't want to be stuck with Raya and Lemons for 10, 15 weeks. That's just, well, maybe it's not a waste. I don't know. Feels like a waste.
It is with the Man United defense, as mentioned.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I forgot. Well, Raya and
let's go to the next team.
Bournemouth are next. We're going alphabetically, in case you can't guess.
Go on.
Although Bournemouth often get put first alphabetically as AFC Bournemouth, so no, we're going with Bournemouth a second. They played today. Clivert scored some pens.
10 goals because they played 2 matches?
Was it 10?
It was 10-1.
I just saw Clivert was scoring some penalties.
4 quarters of 30 minutes of some woke nonsense preseason game going on.
Oh, okay. It's some sort of mini tournament, yeah. But yes, so we've got obviously Kripke would presumably be, well, he was first choice at the end of last season, but he's injured for quite a while. So we've got him in, but I assume Tavernier's not started the last couple of games in the preseason. So I think he's
a bit of a worry.
But then, I don't see how he's not in their first choice team. They just bring Clivert in for Kripke and then Tavernier plays left wing. Are they going to play Adley or Brooks? First choice left winger? Clivert left winger?
I can't see it just because Tavernier's just so Premier League proven, isn't he? And again, in the meta of the Premier League, all energy, all action, he's able to just tank those minutes. I think you'd be, especially with the manager's play style, I think it would be crazy to not have him at least as the starter. But, he might have new ideas, and obviously he's a better manager than I am, sat in my chair here, so he might have other ideas. But it is a bit of a worry that he's not been playing though. So maybe there's something going on around fitness or whatnot. I don't know.
We've not heard anything on transfer speculation, have we? But
I haven't been looking for it, but I haven't. No. What's your general thoughts on that actually around? Because we are 17 days away now from Friday kickoff, I believe it is. Obviously, we've got the Community Shield before that as well, but that's not a lot of time to get in shape. I know it probably is for trained athletes. They might be able to get in shape quicker than me. I'm going on holiday in a few days, and let me tell you, 2 weeks was not enough time to get this body in shape. But for these guys, maybe they can slip into it. But surely you want to start seeing your guys getting some minutes, right? I know there's some people who are at the World Cup and they're obviously delayed and they're only coming back around this time or not even back yet. But someone like Tavernier, we'd expect him to be playing, right? So it starts to be a worry. How if you almost got a cut-off in your mind as to when Tavernier just doesn't become an option, are we almost there? Or he plays 60 in the next friendly and you're like, no, he's fine, he's okay.
I think it kind of depends on who am I comparing it with. If there's another player who's also been in the same position, who's the 6 million option, then yeah. But I think I kind of feel like I look at the players and I kind of, how many question marks have I got around them? So this is just a sort of big question mark the size of the question mark will decrease as he starts playing more minutes. I don't think, hypothetically, say he was 4.5 million and we knew he took penalties straight off the bat, then the size of the question mark can be bigger for me to pick him. That makes sense. I'd be like, oh, well, actually, if he does play, that's so much value. Whereas 6 million, he's good value. But then we've seen Clivert starting now, so the penalty shares are probably dropping because he is going to take them over them probably. So I think there's enough there that actually, especially, we'll see in Bournemouth fixture run. I think they play Man City first, so it's a tough game week 1. You'd have him on your bench if you're going to do that. But it would be enough for me to probably, even if he keeps playing or plays the next game or the next few, then there's probably enough there for me to go, there are other better options. If they then develop their own, I keep saying question marks, if they then develop their own question marks, then sure, maybe I come back. But I think this is enough to go, there are other 6 millions who don't have this doubt on them. But it's hard, there's no hard cut-off for me, I don't think. Maybe no minutes. If they played no minutes and the manager said, I don't know where they are, then I wouldn't. He's gone missing.
Lost down the back of the sofa.
Yeah. Has anyone seen Marcus? Praz? You looking at Tab?
No. Not really. A, because, the minutes thing. B, because Clivert looks to be back in minutes. And if we go, for people, again, who are new to this, you can go and find, it's a little bit of a treasure hunt, but you can find penalty shares. And if I take Tav's penalty share down to like 25% or whatever, then he does show up a lot less than what he is now. So it's about playing around with numbers, and I just don't think there's enough options around 5.5-6 million that we'll talk about that I haven't particularly looked at him. I think people who will be bench boost 2 will have a lot more interest than bench boost 1, where people will go, you know what, he's playing Man City away. If I'm more keen on bench boost 1, I'll just avoid it. But I think from this team, first thing to say is they are very close to signing this right back, right? This Sevilla guy, Sanchez. How do you pronounce it? Juanlu Sanchez. So he's close to signing, but I think it's James Hill, man. Like we shouldn't forget James Hill. I think
you're not looking at Adam Smith. You've been put off now. I was so into Adam Smith, and now
not at all.
Hill's good.
Do you know on Solio, if you filter the first 5 game weeks, you can actually see the DEFCON percentages for the defenders. And there is one guy, well, now I've given it away, it's Hill, who is on 69% average DEFCON for the first 5 weeks. So this is 69% on average every single week. The next best is 58%. So just from that perspective, Hill is just a monster. And for 5.5 million, it's crazy value because there's not many defenders at 5.5 or even 5 that have that kind of a DEFCON potential. He's the best, at least from a projected point of view, the best DEFCON defender in the game. I know the manager is different, but Marco Rose is also similar in terms of his play style, in the sense of, high intense pressing. The games, at least from description, he's not too different from Iraola.
It's not going to be massive changes, is it? And most of the teams are the same. They've got Antonio Silva was signed in to play instead of Senesi. I think it'd be him over Diakite or Milisavljevic. But yeah.
Oh, well done with that.
Oh, thanks. Been practicing. Yeah. And yeah, well, they don't have a backup left back, so that's just true fair. But
also, we always see that when managers come in, they try to put their stamp on things, but at the same time, we always go, there's a grace period, they're learning, it takes a little while. So even if he wanted to change that out of it, it's very hard to just completely change the team straight away. They are so used to playing in a certain way that, we shouldn't just anticipate it happens off the bat, that they just no longer DEFCON. It just doesn't happen. Just think that's really unlikely. I mean, I've had Hill in quite a lot of drafts actually, and it's quite surprising to me how much Bournemouth show in Solves. I think I said that on the first, probably given their fixtures to start, but it's to do with the rotation as well. It makes me nervous rotating someone like Hill because the DEFCONs just come in all the games, and that's kind of some of the value there. I think that stands out on this slide is that Truffett just doesn't seem to have any competition, so he's another one that presumably is very nailed, and he did very well last season. So the pair looked pretty good at one point.
They had a young backup last season, and then they just loaned him out halfway through. They just loaned him out in January. They just went, I see, looks like Truffett can play all the games. He can just, off he goes. Yeah, we don't need him. I don't know what they're doing, but
what about Scott?
He's a fitness beast.
I really still like Scott at 6 million.
Yeah. There's a few options in here. I think Bournemouth would be good. I think because of that City game week 1, you might want 1 to bench boost 2 or play later, but they're also kind of the prime picks for wildcarding early and picking up a few of them. And if Kluivert looks like he has started the first 4 and Kruppy's delayed, then he becomes a good option, that kind of thing. So they might be ones to watch rather than I need them in now.
Wildcard 7's quite well. That's where I plan to wildcard if everything goes well, and their run from 7's fantastic. So that's when I anticipate probably have a couple.
Should we get the run? We've got the Bournemouth run here. What's their worst run from 5? Is that what you wanted them?
No, from game week 7. It's like home Sunderland, home Leeds, away Ipswich, something like that.
Yeah, so Leeds, Ipswich, Forest, Fulham, Brighton, Hull is like 9 onwards. So the Sunderland game's quite good. I guess it's Man United away in 8 that this Mategate doesn't like that particular run of 5. But God, you see the dip when they go and play Arsenal away. That's quite extreme, isn't it? But
it makes me feel better that you guys must have benched points versus Arsenal at some point. We've all done that, right? Bench someone who's ended up getting some points versus Arsenal, but you can't beat yourself up, can you? When you look at these numbers,
why would you start him?
Yeah. Well, sometimes some of us are forced into it, JC. We're not all 78,000.
5 free transfers every 15 players.
We were getting to bullying already, but
disgusting behaviour.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if you play them, then you can see why the numbers aren't there. we can highlight. I'm sure we'll spot Arsenal away in all the other teams. But yeah, well, you see off the bat with that, the first 5 weeks is their worst clean sheet run, partly due to City at home and City away in game week 1, but Newcastle away game week 3, Liverpool home game week 5. They're not super strong, but then we've seen that that's where the DEFCONs are more likely. If you do hit the clean sheet against Newcastle game week 3, then you're off because you've presumably hit some DEFCONs and maybe some bonus as well. And Senesi always seem to pop up with an assist every now and then somehow, so maybe that's Hill's turn. Just do the long throws. I don't know if that'll continue, but yeah, this one looks a lot spikier than the Arsenal one. But is it a case of waiting, do you reckon? Or should we...
Yeah. I think there's an equal chance that you can go for a Tav or a Hill or even a Scott or also just fade and see it's a new manager, right? So I think one thing we all recognize even within the analytics sphere is these margins are higher, right? Standard deviation of all numbers for Bournemouth will be higher because they could be better or worse more than an Arsenal who are same manager, similar players. So it's just what it is. So we're short of time. So let's move to the next team, which I suppose is Chelsea, who are important. So let's cover Chelsea because first thing, today there was some news that Neto has received a bid. I think Romano had this thing where Man City have made a bid for Neto, which has implications on Man City as well. Whether that transpires or not, we don't know. But I think in preseason what we've seen is Palmer in the middle, because Rodgers hasn't played, frankly. Yeah. Rodgers probably on the left, so it's been Gittins in the preseason. And on the right, we've seen Estevao.
Yeah.
That's at least up top, that's what we've seen. João Pedro is pretty much the guy, but Welbeck will take some minutes. Caicedo, Enzo. I think the Enzo rumors have died a bit. There were some rumors of Enzo leaving, but I don't know if, Luke, you've seen anything on Enzo. But
no, it's died a death, isn't it, from what I've seen.
So it could be Lavia, it could be James, who just plays a DM role. But that's where the attack is, at least. So, I think, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I assume João Pedro, Rodgers and Palmer are going to have very good minutes. But the makeup of that attacking four is a little up for grabs. Because you can put Rodgers in the middle and Palmer on the right, and then have more of a winger on the left. Or you move Rodgers to the left, Palmer in the middle, and have your right winger like Estevao if Neto's not there. So I think the specific makeup is partly why it looks a little bit odd. Like we've got lots of options there. That's partly the way Chelsea's squad is especially when new manager comes in. It is a case of actually, I even had to cut out some of the centre backs here because the chart was getting too big. Because they've got Badiashile, Tosin, Achimpong, Chalobah's still there but probably going. So presumably it's Colwell and Lacroix and Fofana's there, but I think Fofana's suspended the first two anyway. And then James is probably the right back, but he can play DM. They've signed Palestra. They've signed some new fullbacks. I think people thought that Alonso was going to play a back three, but he's not really done it in pre-season. So I'm assuming it's going to be 4. Although they've got the centre backs. Well, they've got the centre backs for a back 3, but they don't really have the wing backs for a back 5. So Harto's looked quite good, but then I think he missed out.
They're in the market for a left back. Yeah, I don't think we can go there.
I think they are signing. Barco's just joined, who presumably takes some minutes at DM or potentially left back. I doubt it. He's played there for Brighton before, but or didn't rather play there.
For signs keep Enzo happy, any. We'll get you a mate. Maybe. Let's stay with us.
Have some friends. And even, keeper. They're looking at a new keeper as well. They say this all the time. I feel like every year we'll buy a Bob Sanchez replacement, and then they buy 3 backups and loan one of them out. So we'll see. But yeah, I think really you're looking at Rodgers and Palmer and João Pedro. I don't think there's many other options that. Colwell, Lacroix, maybe, or Sanchez if they don't buy anyone.
No interest in Colwell. Colwell's only 5 million.
Yeah, he's pretty cheap. He's probably better than Lacroix as well. I think Lacroix was 6 million for one, but
he's been priced to DEFCON, which we don't know how much he'll do at Chelsea, right?
Well, I think actually when we were doing the modelling with Rob and we moved Lacroix from Palace to Chelsea, then his projections actually went down. Because his DEFCONs went down by enough that offset the increased clean sheet chances. So he was better at Palace for FPL purposes, but Yeah, maybe a defender. I think there's lots of other good defenders though, and we know that they're not very DEFCON-y at Chelsea. They haven't been, so that might change. But I don't know, 5 million. There are other options: Nico Williams, Haramovic, Vuskovic. Those
There's
guys.
a few. There's a few that you don't need to bother. And
I feel like
part of me also thinks, at least the fans, and beware of fans as usual. Palestra is the guy. You know, like everyone's like he's going to take the right wing, and James might start playing right centre back. So then does Lacroix play a left centre back sometimes? I don't know if a Gahey type where he can play. Doesn't matter if he's right footed. Or as left centre back. So we don't know that yet, but I think it's a little bit too open for us to go there. But I think Chelsea attack in general is so important from a strategy perspective in terms of your chips. Like if Chelsea look amazing, you can say people are going to jump on wildcard 4 because they want the right triple up for Hull. If they look really poor, then you can also regret that, I set up my team only for 3 game weeks to wildcard in game week 4, but now I don't know who to wildcard in game week 4. So it's very tricky to actually get Chelsea right.
Yeah, I get also like the other point about picking a Colwell is that you might want triple attack and then you're blocked out of it. Unless you're Andy Martin, who's managed to get... Has he got 4? I think he's got Colwell and... Or maybe it's Lacroix. I'm sure he's got 4 Chelsea somewhere.
Lacroix. You could have got Lacroix in.
You can't have you can't just pick 4 Chelsea players. That's cheating. But yeah, we see that obviously, Arsenal away game week 3 and then Hull at home game week 4 is probably the hardest fixture into the easiest fixture. But they follow up Hull with some nice fixtures as well, like Brentford, Bournemouth, Everton, Spurs are, well, they're not the easiest, but there's no like super hard one in there. So yeah, you can see this period from 4 to 8 is that like real juicy one. So people are either trying to load up because 1 and 2 looks quite good if you can load up and then free hit 3, or
that's why I really like the free hit 3 or big part of it. Take that whole terrible fixture out, and it's a fantastic run from there to 12, isn't it? But yeah, equally just getting them from 4 looks good as well. I think there is hidden appeal in the sense that if you've got on them early, and they do well, their prices are likely to go right. They are highly owned, but they're the kind of players that I think will be bought in mass. Pedro, Palmer, and
if they score against Fulham and Brighton, yeah,
absolutely. So by the time people might look to wildcard or get them in and 4, you might be spending more money than you hope for. So I can see the appeal of starting with them.
So Palmer is the big one. I feel like the community as a whole have shifted from Palmer should be in the draft to Palmer doesn't need to be if we need to get bench boost out of the way. If we need Bruno and Haaland, we'll deal with Palmer later kind of strategy. Unless you're on a no Haaland team. In that case, of course, Palmer's great. But I'm looking at projections for Solio and he's on 75 expected minutes, which actually feels okay. Like this accounts for him randomly missing out that we saw last season, but 75 minutes feels okay, right, Luke?
Yeah, it does. I think it's the uncertainty that, last pod we were trying to sing his praises and JC was sitting there going, why is everyone so up on him? And I think people seem to have come round more to what JC was thinking. That's strange, but
really? Yeah. He is by and far, by a distance, the best captain in game week 4. And the second is Rodgers. At least, is it? No, sorry. I'm only on
Pedro,
midfielders
maybe.
Here. Sorry, I'm on all midfielders. Yeah, so he's the best, and then Pedro is second.
I'd agree
Rodgers
with that,
is third. So, and this is on 75 expected minutes. Imagine if he starts off getting 90s. I just think it's just somebody, people watching go, why the hell are you guys obsessed with Palmer? It's just that potential, like that Hull at home game. If not many people own him and you get to captain him that week, it's just huge potential. And of course it can backfire. He has been rubbish for a year and a half now.
Well, rubbish for what we expect. And I suppose Chelsea fans disappointed, but he still produced pretty good numbers. I know they did, but they're still pretty good. So, yeah, definitely. I think Palmer is definitely in the realms of models say good, people say good, vibes may dictate. You can have him, you can not have him. No one is going to criticise you either way. He'll be in a lot of analytics drafts. He'll be in a lot of more casual managers drafts, I think, as well. But maybe larger player base will probably need to see something before they get there, and that's why I say, in the first 1 or 2 weeks, if he starts scoring, I imagine people will move pretty quickly. I also see the world where Bruno, in the first 2 weeks, if he doesn't do anything, people will just start coming off of him straight away. They'll be like 12 million for again, defensive midfield all of a sudden or whatever is the narrative.
Although I feel like if you load the team up, like they're probably going to be looking at, I can try and build my team around Bruno. Like if you put a few kind of hogs in first. I think there was a video of the whole team like building their lineup, and they put way too many premiums in and had to take some out. But you probably, unless you really back Palmer, if you're putting a few key pieces in, I imagine you're probably not putting Palmer in first, and then building the team around that is kind of like if I'm imagining a casual building their team, it's more like, I've still got quite a lot of money left because I've overdone my budget players, so I've got space for Palmer at the end. So I feel like they're not going to have so many of him, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's good. Obviously, like taking the penalties, assume that carries on, but I think Rodgers would take him. João Pedro, would he lose the pens or?
Can't see it. He did miss one though, didn't he, recently?
Rubbish.
I seem to recall.
I'm sure he has. But
let's quickly discuss João Pedro, because he does split opinion in terms of analytics and non-analytics, right? Although this year I see João Pedro in a lot of Solio solves. I guess that's due to just having good fixtures in the first five, apart from the Arsenal game. So where are we with João Pedro? Let me start with myself first. I generally hate him, so I should start first.
As a pick or just as a person?
No, he's just not done well for me. And even at Brighton, when I used to own him, I used to enjoy his points, but I knew deep down that he's a fraudulent guy, getting a lot of penalties and, so deep down I had the hate even when he did points. But now that he's at Chelsea, the hate has really grown. But on a serious note, I think my personal view is that if you have João Pedro in your team, you are allowing yourself to stretch the wild card, because when you're sitting in game week 4 and you're looking at Hull at home for one of your players, you're not panic wildcarding because you want double, triple Chelsea. You already have one, and you can just say, you know what, maybe that's enough, or maybe just getting Palmer in for Bruno or some other way, and that's it. I don't need to panic wildcard to get the Chelsea player. So that's, at least in my mind, that helps. And especially if you're bench boosting early, I don't need to play João Pedro away to Arsenal. So if you can work around the Arsenal fixture, he's benchable for that one game. I think he's a good enough pick with good enough projections for you to have, and it's cheap. So that's my thinking. And Luke, you have João Pedro too, right, in your draft?
Yeah, I do at the moment. He has been in and out, but my experience is very similar to yours, Pras. It's like every time I own the guy, he doesn't do anything. As soon as I don't own him, somehow manages to get goals from everywhere. He was getting like goals from corners and stuff, or fall down or whatever. I think he's a great player. To me it's more about like, if you are on the bench boost strat, you obviously can't dead off that spot to a 4.5 that doesn't play. So it's all about, okay, who am I getting instead of Pedro? And at the moment, that seems like a too hard a question for me to answer. Like, it just defaults to Pedro. Like, the only other person that really interests me is Igor Jesus. And I think that's more to do with his penalties as well. I think that's slightly up in the air. So if he was to be on penalties, I probably would pick him, but I'm not overly confident that he is. And I mean, at the moment, Wood's still starting, and I'm pretty sure he's ahead of him. So, it's a bit of a risk. I think I asked Mark Southerns, who's a big Forest fan, and he thinks they'll probably sign a forward as well. I don't know if that will directly replace Jesus, but obviously that forward could come in for Wood. They might be good on penalties as well. So there's just... It's probably a little bit too much, but because he's 6 million, it obviously is. You have to take into account the 1.5 as well and what you can do with it. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. It will be one of those two probably, unless something changes. But I mean, someone like Garcia, we haven't seen his price. That could change, and we're still quite far away, aren't we? But that's where I am in my head. Who's the alternative if I don't go Pedro, and I just don't have the answer right now?
I guess I guess you drop down to like another 6 million, and you get Calvert-Lewin and Igor Jesus if you're on bench boost, or you drop him down all the way down if you're not on bench boost, that kind of thing. I think João Pedro is a good option. I think he's priced quite nicely. So I think actually it's almost the perfect FPL option. In that, like, he's probably good. You don't need him. You can get him. He's good budget. I think, it's almost like I don't have a strong opinion on him. That makes sense. Like, he's good. If you can afford to bench him in game week 3 or you're free hitting, then that run from 1 to 8 is great. If you end up wildcarding early, he's still good in 1 or 2. If all goes wrong, you're not like, I should have waited and picked someone else. He's hardly a bad pick 1 and 2. I think maybe if you end up having to wildcard in 4 and you end up having to have played him against Arsenal away, you maybe go, maybe I should have tried someone else. But I don't see many teams where it doesn't make sense to put him in. But equally, don't need to force him in. He's not
I mean,
not a must-have. I'll sit on the fence. He's fine.
No, I think so. I will have a view in terms of if you're locked on wildcard 4. I have seen some people say, this team is definitely a wildcard 4, especially those on Bench Boost 2, for example, who have triple Coventry or whatever, and they're like, look, I can't get through to this beyond game week 3. Then you don't need João Pedro, right? I mean, you can just skip the first 2. You don't want him against Arsenal. Use the $1.5 million to do something else. Like in that case, get a Brobby, because he's got the first 3 fixtures that are great. So in that particular context of chip strategy, I think then you don't need to have him. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything we don't know, but I just think João Pedro is very contextual to how you're thinking about wildcard windows and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's just pretty safe. Like, you don't need him, but you put him in and he's not a bad pick.
Yep.
Do what you want.
Let's go faster on the other teams.
On 3. Palace.
So I'm going to take an executive decision and skip Palace. Anybody disagree with this? No, Canvo. Let's just talk about, I think, in terms of any player, Canvo is the most interesting because he's the second highest DEFCON. I said Hill's the first, Canvo's the second. So for 5 million, that's good. But we don't know what Sarge's philosophy is, how his play will be.
They don't have many centre-backs. Like, they currently have a centre-back role being filled by Chadi Riyad and Jefferson Lerma. So I'm sure they'll probably buy someone. But
one thing I noticed on him is if you, for the moment, at least the draft I'm going to show later, I've got it wildcard 7, bench boost 1, but not use any other chips, so not use a free hit in between that or anything. And when you look at Solio and look at the projections around defenders, basically who score the most points between 1 and 6. I know you'd probably take into account some rotation here as well, but this is just total EV across that period. Canvo is like right at the top. It's basically him and Williams at 5 million that are clear of everyone else. Like the next 5 million, I think, is even Richards. That's like a little bit down from obviously the same team. So I think if you're thinking, right, I want to go into this period, I want to aim to not use any free transfers and I want a wild card around 7, then he's just a great pick to just pick and hopefully leave in, because also we saw there he doesn't really have any competition. So I know there's question marks about the new manager and yada yada yada, but EV's EV and he looks pretty strong. So at the moment he's back in, like he's been in and out. He was there right at the beginning, he's come out and now he's back in, and for now I'm just going to leave him, I think, because
I think he's like a great 3rd, 4th defender in that, like, he costs 5 million, so he's not spending that much money. Maybe this, City away fixture in game week 2, you want to try and have a plan to bench him. Sorry, City at home. But everything else, like, if you might want to try and bench him, away to Leeds. But if you have to play him, he's great, especially with the DEFCONs. Like, there's no real fixture over the first 10 apart from the City game in game week 2, where you're like, if I end up with a good team and I can bench Canvo, cool. If I have to play him, that's also fine. So I think he fits in there. Ismail Assar's maybe the only other one I'd look at Palace, but then he's been linked away.
Even he had some transfer rumours. I just don't think you can
I wouldn't start with it. Like, the fixtures aren't amazing off the bat. I think there's the DEFCONs for Canvo that boosts him into contention for a pick from a team that their better fixtures are later rather than now, but.
A Mateta injury or him leaving obviously elevates him with penalties, so I'll probably pick them up. So probably one just to watch out for.
And then everyone else is...
I'm not really interested in anyone else. I mean, Mitchell, a few people go for just because he's 4.5 and he'll play. I can see that, but it's probably not for me.
They bought this new guy, Oscar Minguez, so you might get some ins as well. He was quite good. I'd watch Mitchell. He might not be as turbo-nailed as he was. Borna Sosa just never got any minutes, whereas I think this guy is a lot better. But we'll see. Yeah, I think we can move on. Anything else to add on Palace?
Let's move to the next. No.
Fulham. Oh, brilliant.
Nothing to add on Fulham. I'm taking executive decision. Fulham irrelevant.
Nothing at all. Robinson on penalties.
Poor Lorks.
Maybe not Robinson. Yeah. I mean, because even the one that kind of picks out from some of our projections is Joachim Andersen, and they're potentially in for another centre-back. And a lot of the fans are saying that they think Andersen doesn't really fit the way Arbeloa wants to play, and he's good, but I don't think anyone here, maybe Sanderberg or Leno, like, I don't know who's nailed here. We haven't got a price for Garcia yet, have we? Well, he's an option if he comes.
If he was 5.5 and on penalties, then Muniz is not much of a threat to me. So I think that would suddenly be quite interesting, like very interesting.
Indeed.
Is Leno 4.5 or is he?
No, he's 5. Oh, no, actually, no, he's 4.5.
Yeah,
no,
so he might be. Okay. But then, like, Kinski and Verbruggen and, Rushworth, they're better options probably. So we don't like Fulham. Have they got good fixtures? I'll just check that one.
No.
Anderson is also suspended game week 1, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's So they've got 2 centre backs because they sold Diop. But yeah, the fixtures aren't even that good. They've got Liverpool away in game week 4. No, Fulham, we'll pass. No thanks. And they took some penalties in pre-season, and we still don't know who takes them. So that doesn't matter. Iwobi took one, and then Muniz took one, but Robinson wasn't on the pitch, and now Garcia's signed, so he probably takes them. We'll see. Moving on. Liverpool. That's probably more interesting.
This is interesting.
There we go.
Very interesting.
We've got some good teams coming up. Yes. They have... What, have they got 3 fit defenders and 2 of them are left backs? Is that where they are currently?
God, just look at the 2 names behind Virgil and Jacquet. It's
I couldn't find anyone to put behind Virgil. We've got Endo. Well, they got Leone, but he's, fully
I think
fit,
I heard
so.
maybe it was like just people playing tricks on me again, but some sort of suggestion that he might have to use Frimpong at centre back or something. I was like, Jesus Christ, they're really scraping the barrel. Yeah, no, he's not anymore.
Can play centre back. Everywhere.
You joke, but he played a part of the game right back against Leeds. He did, yeah.
Not again.
I mean, they're going to have to make signings, aren't they? There, surely.
Yeah. Szoboszlai's the pick here, really. I think, Virgil, maybe. If you do think Liverpool's defence is okay, Virgil's good.
Well, the games are really good to start, aren't they? I still am tempted, despite what I said, just to start with Virgil. It's like I know a lot of people go O'Reilly at 6.5, but then I think, okay, well, if you're going that way, people go to O'Reilly because they say he's got a goal threat, which, yes, he absolutely has. But Virgil, did he not score more, or at least in the same?
He scored more than even Gabriel.
Yeah, so maybe not from open play, but he has got a serious goal threat. And he does the DEFCON, which O'Reilly doesn't do. He's good on bonus. He's just an all-round great pick, isn't he? So despite me not being particularly up on the team, I still think Virgil will be just a really solid pick. And the fixtures are good enough to start that way. So I still quite like that pick, to be honest. But it's just hard to find 6.5 million for a defender with my draft at the moment. And I'm sure you guys are the same. I find it's always funny when people say that, right? We're all literally can pick whoever we want. But I'm finding it hard to find the money.
Or just change someone else, yeah.
Yeah, simple, solved.
Okay, hard to
on.
add it in when it says I don't have the right money, yeah.
I want Pras to talk to me about Wirtz, though, because I've had him in and out of my team. And I know that he's got him in his team. And did we all start with Wirtz last season?
We did. Yeah. No, not obviously not Johnny. Of course
No, you managed to avoid that. Me. And you didn't have Watkins either? Because I think it was a choice between them.
And Pras had both, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I managed to avoid Watkins. So Pras, yeah, you had the double donut.
I almost find that irrelevant. I mean, it is fine. And this on the back of what I said about João Pedro, right? Exactly. No, I just think it's a new manager, right? So that's the first change where I just think if the sound bites coming out of the camp are that Wirtz is going to be the number 10, all I'm now waiting to see is can he take some set pieces, because there were some nice videos of him taking corners, which obviously impacts Szoboszlai negatively, but helps Wirtz. And minutes. I would like to see the last friendly that they play for Wirtz to play 90 minutes. None of that business where McAllister or somebody comes on and Szoboszlai moves to the 10. So in that context, if those two things do happen, he is taking a few set pieces, he's getting minutes, then I think he's a fantastic pick. I think last season, both the markets and the models were so high on him, and we all got burnt on him, that I feel everybody is just lower on him for whatever reason. And 7.5 is a ridiculous price. Ngumoa is 6 million and Wirtz is 7.5 million. I just think he is, in terms of potential for me, he's Saka, Palmer kind of potential. If he has the season which he's capable of, which we haven't seen in the Premier League. But it's that thing with him where I just think if he starts off well, I rate Iraola a lot as a manager. I just think Liverpool will have a good season and he will be involved in the goals.
I think the other thing with Wirtz was that actually, apart from the period when everyone owned him, he did very poorly. There's no getting away from the start of the season. But later on in the season, he was pretty good. There was no period where he became a kind of massive bandwagon FPL pick or was really essential for any period. But if you owned him in the second half of the season at any point, he was a good pick. He did well. He wasn't amazing, but he was still good. So I think, the point that everyone remembers is that start of the season, because that's when everyone owned him. But he was good other than that. It's not like he was only ever as good as that first run of fixtures. Is there anything else you'd look at here? I know we got Gakpo and Isak. Isak's a bit pricey, but might be quite good if there's no Ekitike.
Is there any
Gakpo's
discussion
linked
to be had on
Spurs?
Szoboszlai? As in, a lot of people
Szoboszlai.
seem to be getting cold feet on him because of the whole Wirtz thing in the community.
He's just fine. Again, he's maybe the JD Canvo. He's just play him every week. He's fine. He's not anything special. He's not anything awful. He scores free kicks from 40 yards when you want him. I think if you want to go against him, I don't think he's unbelievably good, but I think he's going to come up top in most of the solver suggestions because he's, even if you take pessimistic view on lots of different areas, then he's still very good. So I mean, there's some discussion there, but I don't think there's much to say. If you want to go against him,
he's higher than Palmer, Semenyo, Mbumo. I'm just and I know Luke thinks the same. We're just looking at it this guy is playing in a pivot. He takes a few free kicks. He's good at free kicks.
Yeah.
He might be on penalties, but he's better than Semenyo and Gibbs White and Mbumo and Wirtz and Saka and Ndai. I mean,
I think I owned him for about 8 weeks last season, and he got me nothing, literally nothing.
He's a bit of a tease.
Yeah, which is really frustrating.
He missed a pen. I'm sure you owned him for that. I owned him for that.
Almost certainly. Yeah, I've got a lot of those over the season.
Well, yeah. I think.
Do you remember when he got a red card? Was it him that got a red card when it was through on goal versus City? Didn't he get a red card? I remember taking someone out or clearing the ball off the line or something. I think
that was
when he was on for a good game week.
But then he missed.
I don't think it was. I can't remember the comments.
I think they ruled it out. I think it was a red card, but then it wasn't. If that makes sense.
I can't remember now.
Messi, yeah, he's a fun player. We've got Kirkes as well as a potential defender option, who's a bit cheaper than Virgil and did well under Iraola at Bournemouth. Some people are saying, but not for me. But I thought
I see that talking maybe, but he's a fullback, and
we don't like him.
Assists are hard to come by consistently, so not for me. I mean, after Praz's speech, I kind of want to put Wirtz back in. I can't lie.
I mean, wait for him to be taken off on the 65th minute, and I mean, part of the other reason why he's in my draft, right, to be very clear, is just he's a nice price point to see someone else around there. It could be you just find 0.5 and take him up to an Mbumo, or skim 0.5 and get to a Foden. We'll talk about Foden. I'm sure you'll talk me out.
Or even
of that
Rodgers in game week 4. If you want to jump.
So it's it's a decent enough punt, and then I struggle with this and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's not fully analytics. We use analytics where when I make the team and it looks really, really correct, I'm like, okay, what do I need to change here? What do I need to change here to make it sexier? And therefore, that's how Wirtz shows up in the team. But, it's not always the right thing. In fact, it's mostly the wrong thing to do.
They've got a good start, though. I mean, look at these opening fixtures. The first 4 are pretty strong. Obviously, they then hit their worst period, but Liverpool are a good team. Their worst period's not that bad. It's just got a few tough fixtures. I mean, it's mostly because it's got City and Arsenal in 6 and 9. So you probably want to not have them then. But yeah, maybe there's one we come back to. We see that big spot. What was it? Hull and Coventry in 17 and 19. Probably when we're looking at them more than. I don't know. Yeah, they look all right.
I think the first 5 are good enough.
There's a strong argument to start with him, and then maybe not goals and assists, more around minutes. If he starts to come off and he's not involved in any set pieces and he's suddenly like a 75, 80-minute man again, you just move to Rodgers or someone
exactly.
in game week 4.
That's the thinking.
Or, if Foden suddenly is nailed, like you already said, Praz, then maybe you can go there. Or there's lots of players around that price, isn't there? So I think it's a really, really fair punt to start the season with, and maybe I shouldn't even use the word punt. I don't know whether I agree with you with the whole Saka and Palmer level, but Saka and Palmer level last season,
without
yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
The only other one before we move on is, we've talked about Van Dijk, we've talked about Wirtz, Szoboszlai, is Xhaka. So the thing is, we're all saying, they don't have any depth, right? And Xhaka is coming back, I think, essentially the game before game week 1, the first preseason. But because they're desperate, they literally have nobody else. If he comes through that game, then there's no reason why. I guess you're taking some injury recurrence risk. But other than that, you could he's 5 million. It just also feels like a ridiculous price for a starting centre-back. So, I don't know. Any thoughts with him if he makes it to 80 minutes in the first friendly?
He feels like the kind of guy that I'd buy in game week 3 or 4 if I realised that he is starting and looks good. Whereas if I start with him, he's just. I mean, this is kind of what obviously it's a slightly different scenario to Kwanzaa, in that the backup's injured, and he's injured. But like I could just see him becoming a problem. You're like, oh, actually, Jackie's not ready, and
Canvo,
like there's loads of other. Yeah, just start with Canvo and buy Jackie later if you want to.
Or the Leeds guy.
I think you're taking an unnecessary risk when there are so many other good fives that don't have that same risk.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this is going to happen to him, but we have had a lot of times in the Premier League where a player, a particular centre-back, has come in for a top team for quite a lot of money with a good reputation. I can think of numerous for Man City, like Mangala and Chelsea, that have had ones as well. And then, they come in and they're just not quite at it for whatever reason, despite how promising he looks. And then, there might not be any other options. They might have to keep playing him, but there is a world where he's just not quite ready, right? And you don't have to put yourself in that position. You don't have to be first. You can come back to it.
There's no like what's the massive upside from Xhaka over Canvo? Like maybe they keep 3 or 4 clean sheets in a row, but
you're right.
If you already had like Alisson and Virgil in, and you're like, oh, I can make a triple up on defense or something. You're like, okay, maybe I'm spiking some stuff there, but like, why take a risk on your 5.0 defender? Like, what you going to score? Is he
Euro's another one, actually. Came in with similar young French guy, good reputation. Never quite.
Okay, let's move on. Let's. I think we've talked Liverpool. I do feel sad though that we don't spend enough time on Isak. We just call him expensive. I think he'll have a good season. But this goes with my general belief and optimism that Liverpool should have a good season. Over to you, Luke, on Man City.
Oh yeah, I'll just mute. Hang on. What we're doing?
No, people must be bored if they see me on other pods talking about this.
You want to start, Pras?
Yeah, go ahead.
No chance. You go for it.
I just think, bring up the fixtures, I think.
Sure.
JC, if you don't mind.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. That's the snapshot.
Coventry aren't very good.
No.
Not as bad as but
obviously some uncertainty with the new manager, but, probably very close to the system Pep played, or at least not too dissimilar in some areas, and most of the same players that he had for now. Rodri not to start the season. We have seen it before where Rodri missing for City has been a big problem, so you could maybe decide that that's going to be a deciding factor, but I come back to it again, the fixtures, Coventry, is it going to be that much of a factor? Probably not. The most worrying thing at the moment is Haaland's still not in training, right? And Doku's not still in training. Anderson's not in training. O'Reilly's not in training. Again, we're 17 days out. So there are lots of picks that I am tempted to put in my team, like O'Reilly, like Semenyo, like Doku, like Anderson. And if I'm going to stick to my mantra of they might not quite be fit enough to at least get proper minutes, even if they play in the Community Shield, they might not be quite right, and there might be. They've got lots of good players. If you go back to the other screen, JC, they've got lots of good options, haven't they? Most areas in the pitch, anyway. So I am sort of at the moment siding on not having many. Probably just Haaland for now. But yeah, the temptation is definitely there, and O'Reilly could be fantastic. Semenyo, I'm a lot higher, I think. I saw Praz. I watched The Wire, and you really didn't want him. I know there's part banter there because of how he's treated you, but I looked at the minutes for midfielders last season and minutes per start, and Semenyo's again just in the top 5.
He's a machine,
no doubt he's good. If he was 7.5 words price, I would say good. I just think he's for 8.5. It's already priced in that he has a season like last season, which is hard to predict.
I like that 7.5 is Wirtz price, not just 7.5. That's exactly. One Wirtz, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
He's Wirtz plus 1. That's his price.
He got over 200 points, and I know that not all of that time was with City, but he doesn't really have the roots to points. But I can see it again, getting close to that. Yeah. It should be in and around that, and then again, I know it's all relative, but for that price, that is a really good deal if you were to get that. So. Yeah, I think considering he's starting the games now in the friendlies, he looked really good in the first one. I think with them fixtures, it's more than viable to start with him. And then again, because I just like that extra security, I think it's fine I would pick him over the other options to begin with. And then maybe you can move on to the Chelsea guys in 4 or whatever, like we've discussed. But yeah, I think he'll still be quite popular. I don't know what his ownership is, but I think people will start. I think it might start going up, as particularly if Palmer continues to I mean, he watched like a game recently or something. I don't know if there's anything in that, but the rumours might start again around him not being fully fit. And then, well, what do you do with that money? We start to bring it down, and Semenyo is one of the first names on the list, isn't he? So I think that will start to go up. So yeah, might start with him.
What about a cheaper City mid who does not goals but defcons? Anderson, 6.5, still pretty cheap.
Again, yeah, I'm happy to consider it, but I don't know for sure that he'll do those numbers, and he's not been in training, yeah. So I think I might swerve that one to start, and then probably regret it when he just keeps churning out those points. But there are other players in the league that potentially can get close or replicate for slightly cheaper. So it's how far his defcons have come down, you know, if they're now suddenly on a level, which I don't know if they will, because his recovery rate is just ridiculous, isn't it? And that's what you really want from midfielders. So, yeah. I mean, without Rodri, he's probably going to play the DM to start.
But Rodri's numbers were good, right, for DEFCON, right? So, I mean...
I don't doubt he'll smash the DEFCON, but to begin with...
Rodri's very good.
I mean...
Not that Anderson isn't. True, but... Like, but Callum Phillips in, he'll do DEFCONs now.
He takes one corner in the Community Shield and he's definitely in. Like, I know I'm over-exaggerating these things, but you know what I mean. Like, at the moment, I see him not being on any set pieces at all, having very limited goal threat. But if that changes in any way, where maybe Rodri stays, I know that's not relevant for the early part of the season, but if he stays and then Anderson plays the Rice-ish role or the 8 role or the Reinders role, whatever this role will be, that's good. Or if he's on any set pieces, on any side of the pitch, then that's good. But otherwise, I think I'm with Luke. Like 6.5 is so close to 7 or 7.5.
It's nearly worse.
Yeah. Or you just go down, right? You get a Sangare, and then you go, if you just want DEFCON, you just get somebody like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we need to see that translate to this league. Like, I think transferring from... I know it's Forest to City, and they're very different teams, but I think transferring within the league probably more, like... more similar than transferring from Liga to...
Go Ampadu then. There are options.
We'll see.
Norgard or
I'm making
Garner
fun of Sangare with his amazing numbers in Liga that might not translate. But yeah, Bernardo Silva took a lot of the corners last season. He's not here anymore. Like, no reason I can't take them.
I imagine it'll be Foden, Cherky, and maybe a bit of Semenyo. But Gvardiol's definitely worth mentioning just because he looks like he's going to start the season. He's already in training. So he's definitely a pick that we could go to and I think will be quite popular. But again, there's lots of guys around.
How much can we trust him till game week 4 or 5? Like, my fear with picking any City player, not Haaland, is just that by game week 4, you're like looking at team sheets again because anyone can start. Everyone is back.
Maybe with him, like it's certainly. I'm never going to say it's not possible, and it's more a fitness thing for me in the sense, you know, even at the World Cup, he played like a game and a half, and then came off again. So I don't know. He had that bad injury, so there is a slight doubt there, but I still think you should be comfortable picking him to begin with, to be honest with you. It's just he doesn't do the DEFCON, right? He's not going to be the marauding left-back that we remember. We don't think, anyway. We're presuming some stuff. He has got a threat from set pieces, but you're basically buying into clean sheets, and then it's a new manager. You know what I mean? They potentially don't have Rodri. There's some things to work out. They might not have a lot of their players were at the World Cup. You know, I think you can fade them and see... And that's the other worry with Anderson for me is like, yes, he might be a great option, but there is a world where 3 City players are really good picks and he keeps playing the same players and we all want Foden, Semenyo, Haaland, Gvardiol, O'Reilly. We want all of these guys in our team, and then you've got Anderson and there's other players doing DEFCON and you think, well, do you know what? I've kind of used that spot now. And then to use 2 free transfers to sort it out, it's just never going to happen for people like us. So yeah, I think locking yourself into multiple City to begin with can backfire as well.
Gvardiol is only 5.5, I suppose. Like if he was 6 or 6.5, then that's a different thing. But City's defense is good. I think the issue, I'll go back to the fixtures, is that like if you look at this run, it's up and down. Like they have Coventry, Sunderland, and Ipswich at home in 3, 5, and 7, but it's Man United and Liverpool away in 4 and 6. So like their best run has this like W shape. It's like good, not good, good, not good, great. For their goals. So, like, do you want to bench Gvardiol in game week 4 and 6, or are you going to start someone else?
This is the cycle I go with Gvardiol in my team. I just think when I have Gvardiol and a O'Shea, then I go, you know what? Why not have a DEFCON guy, like an Ayer or whatever, 4.5, and then another DEFCON guy for 5 million. We have, those popping up from Leeds
and Cambo, yeah.
Or even this Muramovic or Vuskovic, like these guys that are coming up. So I just then go, do I need Guardiola? But yeah, he's.
I think he's a wild card 4 pick, and I think he's very viable on a wild card 4 pick. And then there's no saying that he won't continue to be on your wild card from game week 4 onwards, depending on how it's gone. But that's the only way I'd probably be happy picking him.
But on wildcard 4, you look at Man United away and Liverpool away as 2 of the next 3.
Yeah. Okay. Well, wildcard 4 or 5 around that period.
6 I think is good because then you're out of Liverpool away and Man United away, and then you can hold him longer term. But then he may not be nailed by then. But I think the upside is that Coventry game, the game week 3 fixture, where if you get him, that's the game where he can get you the benefits. But then I think
hit 3.
What? Or just don't.
Then you probably also attackers then.
Or they don't keep a clean sheet. Or even if they do get 6 points, and your DEFCON guy got that over 2 weeks without keeping a clean sheet anyway. So it's just one of those things where I'm struggling with on Guardiola, even if he's nailed.
Agreed.
Okay.
Did we mention Haaland, or did we just?
Well, just he might not be fully fit yet.
We know what he's doing. He might miss game week 1, but we'll see in the Community Shield. He's good. He's 15.5. It's more on your strategy more than like how good is he going to be, isn't it? But I just realised we hadn't actually said him at all. So. There he is.
And there's nothing to say on Foden Cherky, right? I mean, we just see the moments later as we go along. There's just literally no information at the moment.
Anticipate Foden to start, but yeah, it's too much for me to worry about.
The other side of Manchester?
Okay, so I'm going to keep this to under 30 seconds, and then if you guys have anything to add, just let me know, because we should move to drafts shortly. So
sure, yeah.
Sesko may or may not be fit for game week 1. So the upside is Mbeumo plays up top. And if he does, then Ahmad will start. Otherwise, it's a fairly settled top 4. You obviously have Rashford popping up, but I don't think he's going to be a starter. So that's the front 4. You know what you get. I think Mbeumo's minutes are the most solid after Bruno because he wasn't at the World Cup. Talking about defense, you have Maguire, you have Heaven, you have Euro, you have Martinez. Out of them, I think Maguire is the most nailed, but I don't think as much as people think that he's going to start every single game. He may miss the odd game because there are enough centre-backs, and it's a 4 at the back, not 5. And then left-back, Shaw is the guy who played all 38 games last season, but we're in the market for Lewis Hall or somebody else. If that happens, then suddenly you're looking at, a non-playing player. So that's where we are. Defense is rubbish, but the fixtures are good. So if you want 1, 2...
Defense isn't rubbish. Maybe it's not as good as you think it is. Yeah. What about Yuri Tielemans? I see him on the wall behind you there.
Yes, and that's one of the Discord questions as well. So yeah,
we'll get to that.
My son supports Villa, so that to answer that. And obviously he's the Solio poster boy, so I have to have him. Tielemans will start the season, but then Menu will come on. That's where Menu will play.
He's not really an FPL pick, is he? But.
So every game Tielemans starts, the reporters will ask Carrick, why didn't Menu start? That's the problem.
Sure. So, summary, Bruno, very good. Depends on whether you're doing what you're doing with your premiums. And Bomo, after that, if you want another one. Cunha, fine after that as well, if you want a third.
Cunha, okay.
Okay,
Cunha,
maybe Dorgu. And then the defence is a bit iffy because Maguire might have Euro playing. Martinez probably might not start the first one.
Maguire is safe. Shaw is safe until we sign somebody else.
Yeah.
But with
and
not
Lamans
100%.
Lamans is fine. Because obviously, once the defence gets worse, you make more saves. That's all better. Exactly. And their fixtures are good. Then
good
they
in the
play
beginning
City,
of the season.
And then they're okay. Then they're bad. And then they're good. A bit confusing. We'll go with that one. No, that's fine.
I genuinely think that after the first 5 weeks, which is the green patch, that
the first 2 were very good.
First were excellent.
Yeah.
And if you could move Hull further to the bottom left, then it would be even better, the game one. But I just think after that, you may have even 0 Man United. They may be a decent enough team, but they've been priced as such where if Mbeumo's doing well and Foden's doing well, you'll still pick Foden because of $1 million cheaper. If Palmer is doing well and Bruno is doing well, you'll still pick Palmer because he's way cheaper than Bruno. So Man United can do well and still be not as relevant for FPL. I think both things can be true.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do we want to do the next 2 or do you want to skip the drafts?
Let's go to drafts. Who are we skipping? Just so that we don't offend the teams.
And Spurs.
Forest. Who do we wanna
Spurs, I
talk
don't know what
about
they're doing.
first?
That's a mess. Oro, maybe.
Christ, so many names.
Yeah, look at that. I know. I mean, obviously, some of them are out for a season, and Solanke might be good, but they're looking at a new striker.
But the fact that they're looking at a new striker means Solanke is no good. Like,
Where's
I've
that?
banned
Yeah.
him.
So I'd say Kinski's good. Porro may be good. And then after that,
Van Heck is okay.
yeah, Fernandez might have been good, but then he seems to be a bit injured. So I'd dodge anyone else here.
I still really like Porro. The games are great, but it's just the World Cup thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't think there's anyone here that you need. And then Forest, we've got Nico Williams is good, and that's probably it. Gibbs White, maybe. Igor Jesus.
Gibbs White is good. If he again, I think he's a little overpriced.
He's 8 million.
Again, he's been priced for last season's output, which he may repeat, and you know I could be wrong.
They've got that nice
He
run.
should be
Holland,
Foden's
Sunderland,
price.
Yeah, a Wirtz price.
A Wirtz price.
The barometer for all prices.
Exactly.
And then Spurs, nothing exciting about fixtures. Okay, I think we can move on. So teams. This is your team.
Oh, by the way, Sangare. Sorry, on Forest.
Oh, sorry.
Sangare from the Forest. Sangare isn't too bad either, right? I mean, what are we missing with him? He's 5 million.
I mean, they've just bought this Xaver Schlager guy, who's I think he's Austrian. He was at the World Cup as well. But they've got Dominguez, they've got Yates, they've got a few other guys who can play in here. I don't think Sangare's DEFCONs are like enormously good.
He's like 30 to 37% all weeks.
Yeah,
that's
he's
where
good,
that's where we're
but then
modeling
is he
him.
definitely going to play all of them? And he kind of doesn't actually do anything else. Whereas like Anderson last year was doing set pieces and stuff. So maybe, yeah. But I think there are other 5 million options. Or you go, well, actually 5.5 and 6. There are some better ones. If you can find $500,000 for gross, why not do that?
I think if you have a structure where you end up with Norgard 5 million on the bench, which is what I've got at the moment, and then there's any doubts around him, then I may have Sangare here just because he's the same price, and I'd be confident certainly in his minutes game week 1. And then I seem to remember, maybe it's nonsense, but I seem to remember checking his defensive contributions in the back end of last season. They seem to always be crazy high. I remember because we were always counting Elliot Anderson. It's like, Sangare's like already reached it, like somehow. So
there was a theory that Elliot Anderson's DEFCONs would like really bad whenever Sangare played, but I mean,
I'm not so sure about that. But
anyway,
yeah. I imagine, but I mean, it's more. I know different manager and stuff, but if he's continuing and picking up some of the recoveries that Elliot Anderson was doing, then 5 million bench boost game week 1. I think it's fine. I think his minutes are pretty secure, to be fair, but. They have made new signings, so you can't say for sure.
I'd imagine it's Sangare and Schlager, but we'll see how. Yeah, 1 to 1
for cheap mids. I'm just reading out the first 5 weeks average, like I did for defenders. So Scott is number 1. Then you have the Sangare from Brentford. You have Ampadu at 43% average. Gomez, who the hell is Gomez?
João Gomez, isn't it?
Which Gomez is this? Oh, is that João Gomez?
Is it one S?
The Villa one.
Villa,
João
Gomez has gone to Villa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have Matheus Fernandes, you have Yarmouk, and you have Sangare. So that's kind of the list that you're looking at. So I would say Ampadu is good as well, but the other Sangare too. But let's move to drafts. We've talked teams enough, and for other relevant teams, Jonny and I may cover it while Luke is enjoying the summer in Japan. Jonny and I might cover it next week if we think it's relevant. Otherwise, we have something else in mind as well for next week. Who are we starting with? Does this look like my team?
This is you, I believe. Yeah.
This is my team.
Want to read out?
Yes. No, I'll read it out. So I've got Verbruggen and Kinski. I would like to have Lamens. If you gave me 0.5 more, I'd probably upgrade one of them because that rotation is kind of better. But these two are also good. Like I feel for 4.5, it's a good deal. And the part of the package is it's hard to predict their hauls. So they could just clean and get 2-3 bonus any of the games. So I'm happy to have them. And I think they're the standout 4.5 keepers. If I was to go up, it would be Lamens. I think Neco Williams for the reasons we've talked about. I just think maybe in a lazy way, but whatever, we've projected Daniel Munoz onto Neco Williams, Glasner team,
That's a good
wing
rule
back.
of thumb for it, yeah.
But he's also on set pieces. He takes some corners. So I think just
And
the appeal
Anderson's
is there.
So
And Anderson's gone. So 3 home fixtures in the first 5 are what I like. And starting with a great fixture, right? So I like him. I think he's, in terms of 5 million, he's likeliest to be the one that I go with if I had to get one. In fact, in this draft, there is only one. But below this, you see Guardiola and you see O'Shea, and I was talking about this. I'm tempted to just go Ayer and Muhammadovic or Vuskovic or something like that, where I just get DEFCON guys. So that is TBD. Mosquera is here for the reasons we talked about with Arsenal. And then the midfield is pretty much everyone has Gross, Szoboszlai and Fernandes. I don't think anything needs to be discussed. They're all obvious picks from an expected point of view, expected points for everything that analytics likes, right? With Gross, we'll see what Instinctive has to say with his minutes. He's not getting any younger. And the fact that they have European competitions either side of game week 1, which we talked about. But let's see. But I think for now, looks like a great price, 5.5. Sangare, I talked about, good DEFCON numbers. I think good for a bench boost. I don't really need to play him other weeks. So looks decent, but let's see his minutes. And then Wirtz I've talked enough about. And then the front three, I think, is now what is becoming the template front three, because Calvert-Lewin has scored a brace. You don't need to convince anyone anymore that he's a good pick. Exactly. And he did well at the back end of last season, so people have a good opinion of him in general. He's not the same Calvert-Lewin we all remember and owned for Everton, who did not score for 8 game weeks. We all were there. And then João Pedro and Haaland. And Haaland captain, I mean, it's too early to say, but I think Bruno captain could also be a shout. But that's where I am on the draft. Bench Boost 1 is active. And I've rolled forward this team and it looks pretty decent until game week 5. That's the theory anyway, that this team would take me to a game week 6 wildcard, or at least have that optionality. But if shit hits the fan, then I can also wildcard in game week 4.
Yeah, I'll just add that it's the Brentford Sangare for any audio listeners.
Yes.
Since we have 2 Sangares now, it's the good one. I don't know. Benjamin's
the hyped one.
The hyped one. He's the exciting one.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are accidentally buying Ibrahim Sangare too. But the Benjamin's one, and then any other chips penciled in, planned in, or
no
hang on and
I think the idea would be that you could free hit game week 4, because I think this team will not be as great, but the Brighton guys have Coventry in game week 4. I think Neco Williams also has one of the promoted teams, or has a good fixture. So I don't see the need to do it, and I don't think I will do it. I think there's other spicy weeks for free hit later.
Game week 4 is City versus United as well. So I guess you can do Bruno to Palmer, and then you're kind of fine with that. Or if you have some other options, then you free hit and cool, you get off those 2 and get loads of Chelsea. But there's ways to have a good team.
You can do Bruno to Palmer, or you can just do Wirtz to Rodgers. You can do Bruno to Palmer and O'Shea to a Chelsea defender if you want that triple up. So hopefully it should be okay.
What do you reckon, Luke? You like it?
I mean, when you see my draft, you'll know the answer. The fact I have almost nothing to say about it is probably a good sign, because we just look to pick faults, right? And I really can't see many. I mean, the only thing is around the amount of money you might have on the bench for a little while, but that's generally a good thing, I'm told, to have good options on the bench. So I shouldn't snigger at that. But obviously Sangare at 5.5, and then one of your defenders will either be a 5 or a 4.5 alongside the 4. Then obviously your goalkeeper. I mean, we're all going to walk into situations like that if we're bench boosting and then waiting to wildcard. So it's not uncommon, but that's why I think I've cheaped out on the Sangare spot, because I'm just like, I need him for 1 week for bench boost, and then I'll just have less money on the bench. But he actually works quite well in certain game weeks, I imagine, in your rotation. And Gross isn't great in all the weeks, right? So it probably is the smarter thing to do. So that's as much as I can really contribute. I like all the picks. I mean, I don't really like Luke Shaw, but I think he's fine for 4.5 for the first few games. Struggled to find anyone better, but
I was going to say the cheapest defense, if you talk about money on the bench, is the cheapest bench. You've got 4.5 keeper, 4.0 defender, 4.5 defender, and then it's one of your 2 5.5 mids or your 6.0 forward. It's not actually like as much.
It's not too much money.
Not as much as it looks. It's because it's game week 1. It's got like Guardiola. But I think it looks pretty strong.
I mean, in reality, you'd play Guardiola and probably bench Calvert-Lewin or Shaw, because I hate Man United defense.
Well, bench boosting doesn't matter, does it? I suppose. So.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, what are you actually benching?
The actual bench. Yeah, I think we've got still modelling a little bit of uncertainty on Guardiola minutes in game week 1. That's why he ends up down there. But yeah,
I suppose on Sangare as well, there's a world where he's just acclimatising, right? And he doesn't play all the minutes, and suddenly he's a bit of a problem. But if he's going to be on your bench for a little while, it probably doesn't matter too much. Bit of an unknown quantity in there. There's a bit of faith there, I suppose.
Correct. And these peripheral picks will change, or the whole chip strategy changes if Haaland doesn't show up in the Charity Shield. But that's
you're locked in.
On a more positive mindset, he could just come in and be like the greatest player ever. I mean, the YouTube compilations I were watching showed him to be fantastic. So as they always do.
Range of outcomes we've given him there, but one of those
will happen.
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Exactly.
Should we go to Luke's team?
Yeah.
There we are. This is a new team. 3 players changed. For those who can't.
Wow.
Didn't see. So what did we swap? We swapped Wirtz, Sangari and Gvardiol for Semenyo, Norgard and Canvo. Norgard we've got as Arsenal here, but presumably this is a post-move to Everton otherwise.
Yeah, otherwise they definitely won't be in. And there's a little bit of faith there. I mean, Everton fans seem to think he'll start the season. I think Garner's he had his groin surgery or something and is now on the road to recovery. I don't know if it's groin, but it's an injury of some sorts and might not start game week 1, so that helps a little bit. Had very good DEFCON numbers at Brentford at least, but obviously he's aged a bit. But the theory there is I use him for the bench boost, and then hopefully I don't really use him, and it's only 5 million on the bench, and therefore I get extra money to play with. But that usually backfires by then not having an option, and it means I probably have to play Gross in some fixtures I don't really want to. But obviously he hopefully takes penalties, set pieces, and everything, so I could walk into some lucky points there as well by playing him, I suppose. Yeah, he's all right if you have to play him. Exactly that. So yeah, I mean, it's set up with no particular chips apart from bench boost 1 in mind, and then wildcard in 7 I think I've got in my head as like a general one, similar to what we were discussing with Pras around Chelsea picks in game week 4. I could potentially add some more, either Bruno to Palmer, Semenyo to Rodgers, or maybe Wirtz. I'll actually start with Wirtz instead of Semenyo and use that money, and then have an even more like team to Pras. Mascara, I think, is it? I noticed in the models it's sort of game week 4. I think he's down to play that one and then disappears in 5.
Yeah, I think it's around then. I mean, the international breaks between 5 and 6.
Yes.
So there's that massive break. So I think that's probably where they're targeting. Yeah, 5 to game week 6 is probably where the Libra's looking to start coming back. But
yeah, so for me, I mean, I have got Canvo, who obviously O'Shea as well. So again, the theory there is if suddenly I have to play a defender, he's fine to play because in the bad games he's still fine, rather than any sort of planned rotation. But that might be a transfer that I might have to use before wildcard if Saliba suddenly makes a miraculous recovery or he does come back around that point. But looking at the fixtures, I think 5 and 6, Newcastle are home to Hull, away to Coventry. So to Malik Chow just before wildcard appeals, that's something I might look at. But there's a number of teams around 5, 6, like Everton. I've got Ipswich, Hull, Tarkowski. There'll be loads of options you can move to at that point if we've moved some money around or whatnot. And then just hope that I don't have to use any, but no doubt panic and use 3 in the first 3 weeks somehow. Although I have managed to avoid transfers quite well, I think, in the first few weeks, but not always. With good results, because a lot of the time the guys just keep scoring, right? Like João Pedro was the prime one last year. It won't continue. His mins aren't safe. Every corner, goal,
it's going to be Morgan Rodgers, isn't it? I can just see it now. He's going to be quite possibly popping them in straight off the bat. And we don't have him, and everyone else does.
Yeah, I think the ownership's going to be pretty high on all them guys, but which is quite sad. But it doesn't really. I mean, it shouldn't matter, should it? Particularly at the beginning. And then, I suppose in my mind, the Semenyo slot is kind of the one I have fun with, and the rest of them, in my mind, they're like long-term picks. No matter when I made this team.
Long-term picks are fun.
Yeah, it never works that way, does it? We always go back and look at our game week 1 team and say, what the hell were we thinking? But in my mind, Calvert-Lewin, Haaland, Pedro could quite easily be the 3 best strikers for virtually any period of the season. Szoboszlai, Bruno and Gross could easily be the best midfield picks for most of the season. And then it's just never going to work that way, is it? Because it never does.
Indeed.
I think I had Agbadu in my game week 1 squad last year. And I thought, what am I doing? But yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks strong. I think also, if you set up bench boost 1 with a good bench, but without putting too much money on it, you are mostly set up, apart from some fixture swings, you are mostly set up for I should be able to roll transfers because the odd injury I can deal with, because these guys on the bench are not terrible, but they're also, fine on the bench. So yeah, if you start needing to play Canvo and Gross in some harder fixtures, then that's worth it to roll if you can, and then you can be pretty flexible by game week 4 or 5, start working out what you're going to do with the chip strategy. If a few things go wrong, I think this wild card, like the first time that you have slightly more issues than you have transfers, and keeping the transfers. So if you roll wild card in 4 to fix 4 issues, then you're going into game week 5 with 3 transfers? 2, 3? So actually you're quite well set. That kind of thing works quite well. Even wildcard 3 need to, but I guess you've got double City here.
Yeah, I really don't want to do that. I'm taking the mick out of myself, but I am actually quite patient at the beginning usually. So, similar to Pras, I saw him on the wire saying, what if this person scores? People say you'll have to get him in. I just ignore all that stuff. I don't care.
Don't do it.
I've made the plan for a reason. If one game doesn't affect me too much. How
much better a player is someone just because they scored in the first week? Like they're not suddenly. Oh, I'm good.
Do you know it's not just the scoring; it's the prices that play in your head. Like some people are better at it than others. You see like a price change on a Monday, and you go, "Oh, he could rise 2 more times." And then when I want him later, then I can't afford something else. It just plays in your head.
Some of the calculations I see people coming out with, and it's like, if I don't wildcard now, I'm going to lose $1 million. Like, what? Based on what? What do you mean? It's like 0.3. How do you get to $1 million? But yeah, we'll see. Well, it might be $1 million the way the new price changes work, but we'll see. We'll see how that all pans out. It'll be fun.
But it's fair to say that overall, between mine and Luke's team, that's sort of a template that's emerging with about 10 common players. But honestly, this changes so much. Like, it doesn't have to be even Haaland being out of the Community Shield. It can be something other than that. And, Brighton sign a penalty-taking midfielder or something like that. Anything can happen, and then it just fundamentally changes a lot of things. So
yeah. I think if I get any news very, very soon that O'Reilly's back training and playing, then I'll be highly tempted to bring him in. And then obviously he costs a lot, so then I have to change multiple players as a result. So yeah.
Well, you said at the start, you make this draft and you're happy with it, and then you go to bed. You're gonna look at this tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
when I post
Bert's will be in it tomorrow already.
You're like, what's this? Why did I send that to John? Yeah,
bang on.
All right, Johnny, what have you got that is the
drum roll?
No Haaland. I knew you wouldn't have Haaland. I knew
it. Yes, currently no Haaland. This is my current draft. Okay. The issue with this draft is that if I want to stick with it, I can't change anything because you'll notice I have 4 Coventry players. I have 4 Coventry defenders. So this is a bench boost 2 team with quadruple Coventry defence is the potential plan. Lots of stacking, triple Arsenal defence, Rushworth, Thomas, Van Uyck, De Silva, Enzo Lefebvre, Szoboszlai, Bruno, Cunha, and Mbomo, Isak, João Pedro, and Brobbey. So I'm not sure I will stick with this, but this is what's in currently, because if I didn't put this in, I can't pick this later. I picked this before Rushworth moved.
These YouTubers that just put out these teams just for clicks, and it's just disgusting behavior.
It's in my team. If nothing goes wrong, I think I do like this. I think I do have to play Thomas in game week 1 against Arsenal, but I think if I can bench boost 2 with this ridiculous stack of 7 defenders from 2 teams, then that just looks so much fun. I think if you're offered that, I want to take it. I want to do something. So triple Man United against Hull and Ipswich. I'd probably wildcard 3 or free hit 3 and wildcard 4. So this is very much like a locked in.
Wildcard. I think you'd wildcard.
Play the first 2 weeks. 3. Yeah. Which is why I've put the Sunderland guys in, because they're playing Ipswich and Fulham, I think. Oh, I've got the next one here. Fulham, yeah. So I don't really rate Fulham at the minute. So Ipswich and Fulham, 2 good fixtures. So I put my quadruple Coventry defence at the top there. I think Man United against Ipswich and Hull is very strong. Obviously, João Pedro, I just don't really think there's anyone that much better than him. So I had the money. So if Isak's fine, I think this is good. And then I've still got my triple Arsenal defence when people have got none or 1. So that's a big differential there. And then, I either free hit 3 for City and then wildcard 4 into some Chelsea guys or whatever I want, or I wildcard 3 into some City picks and figure that out from there. But I think
I absolutely love it.
This is something I wanted to leave on the table. So obviously once Rushworth moves, which he's done now, then I can't buy this team. But That's the plan.
You can equally just do Cunha to Wirtz and Rashford to Lemens, and it's also doable.
Well, you can't.
You
can't because he's got 4. He's got 4.
I can't make
forward.
I've got 4 Coventry defenders.
Yeah, but what I'm suggesting is you're removing the 4th Coventry. So what
I
I'm
see.
saying is you do Cunha down to Wirtz, and then you take Rashford up to Lemens.
Yeah. There are other
So
ways
you
to
could still
bench
do
boost
it.
to the same strategy, but I think
Yeah.
I don't actually love the early bench boost. If that makes any sense. So I think if I'm gonna do something with this on the table, I want to take it. I think I'd sort of feel like this is something that I want to do. But if I don't do this, I reckon I won't bench boost to. I won't do an alternative version of this. What I do is I build a team that lets me start with Haaland and Bruno, and then either free hitting. I quite like free hit 4. I quite like going against Chelsea, free hitting them in for game week 4, and then not having them afterwards, and then keeping a bench boost for later, so I can have some good strong picks early on with a cheaper bench and have Bruno and Haaland. And then once I think from like game week 5 or 6 onwards, most people are going to only have one of them, probably not both. The period to have both is right at the start. So once I've dropped one, I can make a stronger bench without having to do anything, or without having to like squeeze stuff in. So
but as a counter, if you do that and you're going against Chelsea, pretty much the only expensive players apart from Haaland and Bruno are the Chelsea guys. Unless you're looking at like a Haaland, Bruno, Gabriel structure, where then you go against Chelsea.
Well,
you would do that.
It would probably be triple Arsenal defense if I try and get all of them in. Or I get like a Cunha and Mbeumo, or I'm not sure. I need to look at it more because this is, I mean, we're too far. I only made this draft because I knew that.
It's good to get different points of views in this stuff.
So I think what I'd do, what I'd need to do to make that work to go different is that I'd need to find some of the premium guys that other guys can't have. So that probably is Gabriel and Raya, because they wouldn't have them. Which I could afford because I wouldn't be bench boosting, so I could put a 4.0 keeper or some more 4.0 defenders. Maybe even a dead forward spot. Make some funds that way. So that's where I'd find the difference if I went for if this goes wrong, if one of them gets injured, then I think I'm more likely to go to a team with Haaland and Bruno and try and either play all the way through and wildcard free and bench boost later, or free hit 4 and to save the wildcard.
Why don't you show us that kind of setup next week?
I will. I'll have it ready.
We can talk about that.
I'll need to be careful not to accidentally input it into FPL.
I know you're an avid Sky player, or you were, JNC, when it was around. It's gone.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
Now. It's a new one.
Yeah, but maybe even before you started playing, we used to have forced wildcard in like game week 3.
Yeah, overhaul. Yeah.
I always remember looking at the teams in the sort of top 100 after 3 game weeks, and every single time, and particularly in Sky, because there was no limit on the amount of players you could have from a team. Like every team would just be whichever team did well, complete stacks from that team. They would right be up there, which was a viable strategy because obviously everyone had to wildcard at that point and then change the team anyway. So you kind of went for broke in the first 3 weeks, and it just reminds me of a similar strategy where you're doing the equivalent of what you can do in FPL. So yeah, it could set you up really, really well. I do like it.
I mean, Hull's going to score the 90th minute. It's going to be funny. But if I get a quadruple Coventry clean sheet, I think that's just something that I'd rather play for the experience of. But yeah, I mean, it is popular in other games where there's not that limit. So like Telegraph, you often have a big Arsenal stack, and actually having 4 Arsenal defenders is not that much differential because everyone's got 3. So really, you've only got 1 extra. But it's big in the Sky and the Cloud games as well. Yeah, but I've seen people do stacks of it. I don't normally do it of like a weak team, like a Coventry. But I think, if I can get 4, I don't know, because even it's like, who's going to do 3? People are going to have 2 of these, but then I've got 2 more, or people are going to have none. And then if Man United go big in attack, like I'll have 3 attackers, and people have only got none. So it's big, like big swings first couple of game weeks, so then wildcard into something sensible is the plan. And if it goes really wrong, then it's only gone really wrong in 2 weeks, and so what have I lost? We'll see. Not sure.
On that note, it's been a long one, but this was. Is it? Am I right? This was the last that we have you, Luke, for preseason because you're off until the deadline.
Yes, that's right.
So we wanted to get the most out of Luke for this. So thank you, those of you who've listened to the whole thing. I doubt anyone's spent the whole 2 hours, but if you have, great. If you've watched it in bits, then you've done the right thing. Thank you for your support. If you guys don't mind, like the video if you can, subscribe to the channel. Jonny, I know you have something to say, so why don't you say that?
I was going to say, we had some questions.
Oh, yes, we have some questions.
We can do them fairly quick fire.
Okay.
We've answered
let's do
one.
a quick fire.
I'll throw them out. I've got them here. So, why is Tielemans' autograph on Praz's wall?
My son supports Aston Villa and he threw this poster in the bin. I picked it up and put it up.
Oh, because he moved, obviously.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, he's very angry with him. Which picks are you intuitively trying to avoid despite Solio's recommendation? Are there any players that are, Man United defence,
Luke?
Maybe. Who are we suggesting that you're saying?
I mean, to be honest, most of them are just based on minutes. It's not anything else than that, really. I mean, I really want Ndai to leave just because, unfortunately, if he doesn't, he's just so clear, optimal, and I might have to change my structure. I think. I don't think I've got a 6 million midfielder at the moment. And it's like, oh god, it's gonna be really hard for me to justify not having him because he's just so clear, I think, on the numbers. So I'm just hoping he leaves and saves me from that.
Yeah, I know I don't have to hurry up with their Trafford transfer as well. I'm sick of having Perry and having to go, they don't have another keeper. Is the only keeper at this club? Basically, Darlow's gone. So anyone from you, Praz?
Anyone from Fulham that pops up. So
Fulham,
if I see Obi, anyone else, I haven't paid much attention to them. Other than that, the Bruno Guimaraes, the Munizes, all the Munizes again, Fulham. Who else? Collins. I see him pop up a lot, but for 5.5. If I think Ayer is going to start for 4.5, if that rotation works, then it also works with Ayer, right? So that's one I've ignored.
Cool. And then when you're running solves, what's the best way to account for the uncertainty from the new managers and sort of margin of error? So it's pre-season stuff. We went through all the teams that have big margins of error. Is there anything you do particularly when you're planning to help account for that, or do you put in a small probability that you need to wildcard earlier?
Branches.
How do you think about it? Branches, stochastic branches. Usually the way,
yeah.
I know you guys try to build that into the model as much as possible. So the simplest answer is to just kind of ignore it and go with the numbers, I suppose. But I don't know. I think maybe, probably wrongly so, but that's the one time I might take a little bit more from friendlies in the sense that the models are obviously, not just the models, the betting markets, everyone is obviously guessing to a larger extent on these guys. So the friendlies would probably have a slight more influence, certainly around just the way they're setting up, what the fans are saying, how they're trying to play, the patterns of play, the style, who's the guys. I mean, you might not have the players available that they want to start with, but is it setting up in a way that the right forward is getting in behind the goal all the time, the striker's coming deep, blah blah blah. So they're little things that I will take on board, certainly more for those teams than other ones, but that's about it. I don't know if that's the right process, but
I think in terms of the numbers that we get for these early games, the accuracy actually isn't that much worse than later in the season, if at all. So the numbers as a midpoint is still a pretty accurate predictor. It's the precision that's much different. So the range of potential outcomes it could end up being feels a bit wider, but actually the average number and the sort of midpoints are usually still pretty good. They're not that far off. So you can kind of bet on Sunderland starting amazingly or Villa starting terribly or that kind of thing, because they're more likely to have someone falling way away from that midpoint. But the midpoint is still a pretty accurate predictor. So I wouldn't feel like you need to find something that's wrong, but you playing with that sort of increased variance early season.
And we've even had fully established teams with fully established managers just be terrible. Yeah. And it's not a true reflection, and they sort it out later. I mean, it happens all the time, doesn't it? So it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, I guess this last question is kind of a similar one. So it's how do you approach situations where the analytical models are pointing you in one direction? So, actually seeing bench boost 1 or bench boost 2 doesn't pop up super commonly on a chip suggester, but it's still good. At what point do you kind of trust the model over the consensus, or where do you try and intentionally deviate from the kind of top suggestions? I think to start on this, I'd say that actually the top suggestions, sometimes if you dig deeper, you find that the secondary suggestions are very close, in which case deviating isn't all that different. It's just that, if a guy's predicting 8 and one guy's predicting 7.9 and you say pick the best player, it picks 8 every time, even though the guy at 7.9 is going to beat the 8-point guy a lot of the time. But sometimes there are points where, like, it's suggesting something and you go, well, actually, the more I dig into it, I have heuristic reasons to deviate. Do you have those kind of things in mind, or?
I mean, can I be honest with the chip stuff or just general planning? I just think, to what you said, things are so close that you change one player and then the other one is higher, or it's all between 2 points. So at least my use of analytics has never been about top line, right? Or even the second line or the third line. It's about paths. It's about understanding what happens if you do certain things. And then you get a little bit of an idea. Okay, the model thinks that this path is higher EV than this path. The whole chip solver, I do think it gets better later on. But right now we're living in so much uncertainty with the minutes themselves for even bloody Haaland, that how can you compare if you should free hit in 3 or 4 or 16 looking at the model? And anyway, if you look at Solio, we even tell you that anything beyond 8 game weeks, 12 game weeks starts to get into territory of it's hard for anyone to say. Like, we know there are injuries. It's not an opinion. It's a fact that a lot of players will get injured between now and game week 12. How can you know if you should free hit in game week 16 or not? It's just...
A free hit in game week 14 or 16 or whatever might be very dependent on 2 specific players who we project
and your
to
wild card,
start
and when
now,
you wild card, and who you pick on wild card.
But if you're trying to project who's going to be there in December, like, we don't know. That's the best guess. But yeah.
Well, also most of the time when we look at the chip scenarios, we kind of, I mean, Pras is perfect for this. You kind of know them instinctively, and if you've played the game a long time, they're fairly easy. And around double game week and free hits, it's pretty instinctive. And then you'll go check on these models and solvers, and lo and behold, you were right. As in they do show you that those are probably the optimal weeks to pick. So it's quite actually rare for me to see something where those disagree. And it's only, like you're saying, it's happening now maybe because you've got, I don't know if decay is built into Solio actually, but EV is generally more known in the earlier game weeks than it is in the later ones. So it will always push you towards the front. And like you said, they're just so close, right? So you can do whatever you want around those chips. Really, just because you see a load of content creators and other people saying, I'm going to do it 1, I'm going to do it 2, there's plenty of other weeks you can do it in. And I have almost no doubt that another week will be better, or 1 or 2. It's almost certain that there will be.
I think if you assume you have a limited amount of like thinking space for chip strategy planning and planning around it, you're better off picking a good chip strategy and trying to play it really well than you are trying to pick a really, really, really good chip strategy, because you're more likely to, it goes wrong, or this one player gets injured and it falls apart. So as long as it's sufficiently good and you're playing it how you want to, then I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, especially with a run of single game weeks.
There is a mental aspect as well, right? If you don't really want to do it, but everyone else is doing it, and then you do it and it doesn't go well, you're just going to hate yourself and hate everyone else and everything. It's like, just don't put yourself through it. You don't have to. It's better to, like you say, pick your plan, try and play it really well, and then as long as you've made it with good reasoning and you're happy with the rationale beforehand, the outcome is almost irrelevant in the sense of, in one way.
You're more likely to have enjoyed it, for one, but if you even think about like trying to be really execute a good plan and a strategy, you're more likely to have enjoyed it, and therefore you're more likely to make better decisions down the line.
And the best part is if it goes really well and no one else does it, you can laud yourself on X over and over. Like,
all the likes,
I'm the greatest thing
likes,
ever.
exactly.
Gunshots, the whole works.
Exactly. Do that. Okay.
Excellent.
We have now hit the 2-hour mark, so we can wrap up.
And we're done with the questions, right? So look, I think this was the longest we will go for, I would venture to say, the whole season. So thank you for being with us and staying with us. Luke, have a great holiday. I hope you get some FPL free time, but after the Community Shield are in the same panic as the rest of us when we're here. So that's it for us. We will be back next week. Jonny and I will be. And there's a couple of other interesting stuff like the analysis tab and others where we can show risk. We might even get a guest who likes risk. We have to ask him. I've just volunteered him.
He'll be there.
But we'll see. We'll see if he can join. But otherwise, thank you very much again. We are very close to 5,000 subscribers. So I do need to ask people, if you support the channel, if you like Luke's a favorite. Luke got so many nice comments in the last one. So for Luke, if you can subscribe to the channel, that'll be great. Helps us out, helps get the Solio brand out. Remember fpl.solioanalytics.com if you want to check out the website. But otherwise, see you guys next week.